edition of Comics Cast. Let it out on a beautiful Sunday, July 31st. Before I introduce our guest for today, let me just tell you a little bit about who Comics Cast is and what Let It Out is about. Comics Cast is a Facebook group, or we have a YouTube presence as well, where we showcase indie creators. So if you're in the indie comic industry, we want you on the show. So if you're a penciler, a author, a inker, you name it. If, like I said, you're in the industry, we want to get eyes on you or help get eyes on you. And Let It Out, that's what this show is about. It's a more intimate conversation where we have one of those great guest creators on the show. We learn a little bit about them, talk their creative journey, and showcase them. And today is no exception. We have a great guest, and his name is Kevin Steward. And I don't know, there's just so much stuff that I love about this guy's art. He's had his own gallery. He has this killer creation called Killer Aid, fan of horror comics, just a phenomenal talent, and he's just an all-around nice guy. But anyway, I'm going to let the show and let him tell you all about it. So let's get this thing started. Here we go. Catch ya. Hey. How you doing, Kevin? Say hi to everybody.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
I am so honored to have you on the show. I'm going to say, I think I was talking to one of our mutual friends, Mr. Philip Russert. I think I've had 6 of his crew that are related to the tragedy comment. You are comic, and you're number 6. I think I'm just doing my bit to help promote him and promote you. It's just awesome to have you here on the show. So anyway, I just want to get this thing started. I'm gushing here because I'm fanboying in terms of like, just getting to know you a little bit in pre-show and seeing all your art. It's just, you have an amazing story, and I'm just ready to share that with the world here. So what I'm going to do right now, let's pop up some ways that you can contact Kevin here. I'm going to put that in the chat field. So look there at the bottom, and I'm going to pop it up right here. But you can follow Kevin on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Want you to note that. Don't go there right now because we want to have your eyes here right now. But without further ado, let's just jump right into the segment of the show that we call the origin story. And that's where we have our guest. I give the mic to them, and they basically just tell their creative journey, all against a backdrop of some of their art that they shared with me. So that being said, the mic is in your hands. Kevin, tell us your origin story.
I would like to say I fell from the sky in a spaceship landing in a cornfield in Kansas, but I'm way off on that one. I didn't that didn't happen.
You could say that, and I would believe it. But you can tell us tell us it. Yeah.
Just growing up in the '80s, I was a little kid, and I spent, in the '80s, we didn't have cell phones and all this technology and stuff, so the only thing we had was Saturday mornings and getting ready, getting up, and watching cartoons for the 4 or 5 hours that you had on that Saturday morning, to get that out of your system. So that was my favorite part of growing up as a kid, and that really pushed me into drawing cartoons and characters. It was mainly the Turtles. When the Turtles hit in the early '90s, like '89, '90, that really set me off because the art was just like, it blew my mind with the Japanese American art that came on the especially the intro was so good. And the Turtles seemed like a very easy character to draw. So that's kind of what I started drawing, was just those. I drew them in school. I'd be in the library drawing them when I was like 5th grade. So it just, that kind of inspiration as a kid really got me into doing comics and cartooning. From there, it kind of, you start growing up, you get junior high, you get high school, and some people take that path of, focus on their hobbies, and some people kind of jump off and go do their own thing. I was kind of that guy. I kind of put art in the background. I didn't really do a whole lot of art when I was in high school for the most part. So I didn't know how to draw. Like I'm self-taught when I was a kid. So most people or at least for me, seemed like when you start drawing, you want to just do all the details. You want to go straight into the beautiful part of the artwork and try to mimic what you see, like the Jim Lees and the Rob Liefelds and stuff like that when you're a kid. And that's kind of how I was. So I didn't draw very well if it was complicated. So I did that for years. You know. Oh yeah, it was a struggle, but it was. I think it was a perfect time in that time frame because the 90s comics blew up, and that's when we had the X-Men one and probably the best comics that we'd ever seen. You know, I say best, most popular comics we'd ever seen, and that was a huge inspiration when I was a young kid, like teenager. So I was all the time trying to mimic Rob Liefeld's artwork when I was younger.
You were a Rob Liefeld guy. Yeah,
I was, man, because Jim Lee was too hard. Jim Lee stuff was too hard to mimic. It was extremely like tight and very like it was so hard. But Rob Liefeld's artwork just spoke to me, and it seemed like it was easier to replicate in a way. It just had a lot more energy, and it felt more cartoony, I guess, in a way. So I just kind of clung to that. I kind of went to that, especially that X-Force #2 right there. That Deadpool issue was my favorite comic. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because like I said, we didn't have to time any of this artwork to anything that you were saying, and I had to tell you, I'm not gonna lie, I was a fan of Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee. I mean, the whole Image 7, the whole crew that was out there, and was it 7? I can't remember. I just know that there was the Image crew that made that jump. But yeah, so keep on talking. I want to hear the story about how Rob Liefeld was your inspiration.
Oh, he was. I had all his comics when I was a kid, and I just would copy over and over and over his art. It didn't make sense to me, but something about it connected, and I loved that stuff so much. So from there, high school went on, didn't really do a whole lot of art, and went to the military for a couple of years, did that. And kind of still mess around with hobby sketching and stuff. And then around 2003, I started thinking about getting serious about going to school and trying to get a degree and make something out of art. So that kind of went on for about 7 or 8 years. And then around 2010 is really when art really started, like, I started focusing on getting really serious about doing comic book art. And it happened because I worked at a company, and there's another guy there that was into comics and stuff and Comic Cons, and he kind of saw my sketches and approached me and was like, "Hey, I've got a story idea that was real popular when Walking Dead had come out, and so it was the hot topic, zombies and stuff." And it hit me. I was like, "I love horror, I'm all about it." So he presented me with a comic book idea, and he had the first issue wrote out and the second issue in process. And at this point, I had never drawn a comic. I had never done sequential artwork. The most I had done was like single characters and just okay characters, but nothing great, but nothing else. No backgrounds, no coloring, no seriousness to it. And he got me onto it. We did the book. It was better than I thought it would be. Of course, it was the first time, and it has its issues, but I put a lot of energy into it, and I tried really hard on it, and it got a really good positive response in the indie scene. He sold all his copies. Unfortunately, that relationship fell out before the second issue started. And there's I don't want to go into too detail about that because
we don't have to.
I'll say this: it was both our fault, my fault, his fault, misunderstanding, poor communication. And that's pretty much how it went. But
hey, well, you cut your teeth doing sequentials doing it, so that's the thing.
Oh yeah,
right?
So. I like anything that I do, I don't plan it. I just go head first into it, and that's a huge problem for me. I just jump right into it. I don't care if I got no life jacket on. It's something to do,
Hey, well, you already won because you heard that story. It's sort of like 50% of success is actually just taking that first step, because if you don't do it, if you don't try it, if you're always on the sideline, then you've already failed. So more power to you.
Or in my case, tripping over my own feet and falling into it.
Hey, sometimes what do you call those? We call those happy accidents, and I have to say that. Some of the best things came from happy accidents, like penicillin. You would not have penicillin if it wasn't for a happy accident. And I'm going to say that I'm glad that you fell into it because your artwork was phenomenal. So don't let me stop the rhythm, the flow here. Keep on going. I want to hear where you went to after you had this little bit of a sour relationship, but you found your passion though. So keep on going.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and I do give him credit for getting me into it. I probably never would have done it had he not approached me. And doing the conventions with him and that company, I got to meet the next company I started working for at a convention, and I think it was a Louisville convention in like 2000, might have been 2011 maybe. So I met these guys, and they hit me up, and they had a story they wanted me to do, which was I was all about it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. A really cool psychological thriller, and it's the book that's called "The Man in the Kitty Coat." Is the book that I worked. The second book I worked on, "Man in the Kitty Coat." Right. The first one was called Corey the Zombie Killer, and it's a goofy name, but honestly, it was a really interesting story. And I'll tell you the synopsis about it real quick. It's a story about a zombie apocalypse and this lone character, this lone hero, and there's zombie. It's humans versus zombies versus zombies. And what it is the zombies that are fighting humans are actually have become sentient, and their consumption of brains and other zombies, anything they eat, actually causes them to be smarter. They start their brain development kicks in, and they start becoming more human, more cognitive, and they think and they scheme. So you've got these three off factions of these fighting forces: humans and these smart military zombies, and these savage. Rural kind of zombies. Yeah. Brainless, yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's what in the main two characters is Corey, and then his friend is like this general that's super intelligent zombie. So and there's like this interaction between them, and it would have been an interesting story because there's aliens that come in at some point, and there's government interference and all this other corruption and stuff. So unfortunately, you won't see the light of day, but it was a good opportunity. So. Moving from that, I got onto a company called Broken Icon Comics. Started working on the Man in the Kitty Coat story. It's a really good story. I like it. Unfortunately, that won't see the second issue either.
I love all these stories. Maybe I'm gonna have to say, like, in maybe some multiverse, these stories will be told. But I have to say that the name of the thing. I just switched to it. I'm going to show some while you're talking about it. I wanted to show some of the sequentials from it. But to me, the most intriguing part was the Man in the Kitty Cat Coat, because it's not what I thought it was. In fact, it's much deeper than that. So here, I'm going to show these pages. You tell us a little bit about this.
Okay. So I was with them for a couple of years and working on this project, and this story is a psychological thriller. It's about a virus that has infected young people and children that causes them to become savage murderers. It's kind of like Children of the Corn in a way.
Children of the Corn. I was
sort of.
Yeah.
It causes them to go crazy. It causes them to be murderous and just destructive, and they kill everything. And we have this guy here, who's our main protagonist, Joe Sampson. He is involved in this story in a deeper level, but it's the one shot. It's a one shot graphic novel, so it tells the complete first story, and it's all said and done. And it's about this doctor that he finds out who is involved with this virus to infect people, and he wears a kitty coat. He's got a coat on the inside of the cuffs is these cat prints. And he's the man in a kitty coat.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
the name does not tell you anything about the story, which is very cool.
Well, it grabs your attention. I'm gonna have to say,
yeah.
At first, when you were describing the coat, I was like, "Don't tell me the coat is made out of kitty cat fur," because that would just totally. PETA would probably be on us, like, they would be like protesting like crazy. But I get it. I totally. The way that you describe it, it's just like it is a deeper story. I mean, it's a horror. It has a little bit of that horror vibe, suspense, but the Man in the Kitty Cat Coat, that just grabs your attention. I was joking with you yesterday. It's like, so is it like Hello Kitty, or is it like, Mr. Putty Cat? I don't know what it was, but it was. But now that you've explained it to me, it's an attention grabber, and it's just like enough to intrigue you. And now that I heard the whole story about it, and you said it's a one shot, it's a self-contained story. So,
Yeah.
even though you said that there's not going to be an issue two, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, in the sense that it's self-contained. There's a beginning and end, but it's open-ended. So maybe it'll get revisited in the future, because
Oh yeah.
Maybe he'll change the interior of his coat to something else.
Hey, Matt.
But I totally dig. Yeah, dig the premise.
It ends. It ends. The story does end, and it's not how you think it ends. It's actually a like a M. Night Shyamalan type of twist to it that you don't see coming. It's wild. So during this was a. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, you definitely intrigued me. Can people, even though there's not an issue two, can people still get the entire issue? Is that something is it still for sale, or is it out of print and that's it? Like,
it's out of print.
Oh, maybe a digital copy. Maybe there's something like that in the future.
There might be something like that. I reached out
to
the guy with the director of operations at Broken Icon last year about it, and unfortunately, he was talking. It's never going to see light of day again. Luckily, it's out of print, and he won't print it anymore, which is a shame, because I would like to see a part two.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at your sequentials here, and we're gonna like merge a little bit of your origin story with like going into some finer the finer details of some of the art to go along with it. But this is like what I was talking about at the beginning of the show in terms of Kevin's expertise. Look at this storytelling. It is black and white, but I think that's actually more effective. I mean, I think you could color this, but the black and white, I mean, it not to like draw parallels to like the Walking Dead comic, which was black and white when it first came out. I was just looking at this. It's so impactful. You have these great like camera setups in terms of composition, in terms of zeroing in on the eyes, and then building that establishing shot, and then here we go into the scene where he's breaking a window. For somebody who said that they're self-taught, it's just amazing. Do you just study comics, or did you like get like one of those how-to books and kind of like how to draw comics the Marvel way, which is like the Bible to many of us? What's your story in terms of like how did you educate yourself in telling a good story?
Well, when I was younger, I was trying to draw from the comics, directly copying from the comics, and everything was out of whack, and proportions were bad. And I don't remember how I ran across it, but in the back of one of the books was like this $7 mail-in how to draw the human figure book, like a pamphlet. And I was like, I'm gullible. I'll fall for about anything, apparently. And I got like $7 plus shipping, and it actually was mailed to me. I got it, and it was like this little 3 stapled, little bitty pamphlet, like yay big. And I kid you not, and it was rudimentary, but it showed me the bubble foundation, how to draw the characters using the stick figure and then putting the bubbles on top of it. And for what it was worth, it was really good, and it allowed me to teach myself from that how to start doing, figures and stuff.
Best $7 ever spent. I hope you still have that.
Yeah.
Is that something?
No, I don't, and I can see it, but I got rid of it a long time ago, and it's I wish I still had that book. I wish I still. I was like 13 at the time.
You could like write the author of that and say, a lot of people, like for me, it was how to draw comics the Marvel way. I still have my hardcover missing, dust jacket, me scribbling in it. It's like battle worn. And that sounds like that pamphlet that you had. That was similar, to you. Gosh, you're gonna have to look that up in like some old comic book and see what that ad is, and see if you can track down who created that. And I don't know, everything is on the internet. Somebody probably scanned it and has it up there. But we're gonna talk. I'm gonna make it my mission to kind of help you find that. It's gonna be like one of those documentaries where we find Kevin's missing mentor from.
I swear, I think the guy made it at a library, because it had like a light blue, like cardstock cover, and it was really made as someone's house printer. I'm telling you, it was so basic.
Homemade. It's the best.
It was homemade.
Yeah. But talking about this, and I'm gonna have to talk to the publisher and get him to print it out again, because this is another great storytelling device you did. I don't know anything about the story, but it's a very cool thing. It's like somebody waking up from something, and then you do a slight blur, and you have it open it. I mean, this could be like a storyboard. I mean, if there was a Man in the Kitty Cat Coat, movie, they could just like lift these storyboards. I mean, lift these panels and make a storyboard and give to the director. But yeah, it's so well done, and it just amazes me that you didn't have any formal training, and you actually had that gap. I'm going to call it your gap year or gap years, where you drew in middle school and didn't do anything throughout high school, and then you sort of like got a job, and then decide, you know what, it's 2000, maybe I should kind of like pursue my passion. And it's like you said, you jumped in head first, and it wasn't like you just eased yourself into doing like pinups. You just said, I want to do comics, and that's just an inspiration. But yeah, I would love to see where this go, and it's so sad because if anybody is watching this, they can't get the story. So we're gonna have to do like a petition, to get these, to get these released at least digitally. That'd be really cool. But yeah, going on with your origin story, I guess what was the next comic that you did? So do I have samples of it so that way we can kind of like show that is so
yeah. So in between starting this book took me several years to do, unfortunately, and that was part of the issue with who I was working with, is how long it took me to get this book done, and that's on me. I was working full time, going to school part time.
Oh, it's hard.
And I had a new kid, and then just
priorities,
it just took me
right?
forever to do it. Priorities, and there was my insecurities as an artist working on this. Is the second book I worked on, and I was doing everything traditionally. And halfway through the book, I started going digital, and then from there, I'll say it's another situation. But I was just worried about putting out a good product, and I figured it's the best I can do at the time. This is the best as I can draw. It's going to be as good as it's going to be, and I'll get through it. So during the process of this book, I was doing conventions with this publishing company, Broken Icon, and they used to host their own convention in Huntington. Well, the operations director approached me with doing a one-shot comic for the convention, a convention-only comic. And it was a story about what if a zombie outbreak occurred during a comic convention. And he wanted to introduce a bunch of the guests that were at the show into the comic book. Now, I don't do portraits very well, so this is as good as I could do it. But this comic here was probably one of the best, one of the funnest, entertaining comics I've done. The Night of the Living Tricon, because I could do anything I wanted. He gave me the basic story, and then I just took it from there, and it was so much fun. So that's the third book I've done. Yeah, exactly right there. Yeah.
All right, so are you in the indie circles? Are you getting known as the zombie guy? It's sort of like you kind of like had like zombie. You had the zombie, smart zombies, dumb zombies, aliens, humans story. Then you had Then you had the Man in the Kitty Cat Coat, which the kids weren't zombies per se. I mean, they were kind of like, I don't know exactly. I mean, but it has a kind of a zombie vibe to it. And then you have this. Do you think you were being like, for lack of a better word, being typecast in terms of like, oh, we'll go with Kevin because he?
I'll never get work in this industry again.
Yes, exactly. But it's intriguing because that's a tall order. You were going to be doing a comic that was convention exclusive. But you also had to like work in like actual people or do like some sort of like the portraits of real people. That's a challenge, and you said yes. I mean, how many pages was it? I mean, I know I have 4 here. Was it?
It was
like
16 total.
16.
Yeah.
I gotta follow your example. You do nothing halfway. It's like gotta go all the way with that. So, but anyway, is this comic? Is it available, or was it one of those things that was only available at the con and it's no longer it's going on eBay for like thousands of dollars now because it's that exclusive. So,
I wish.
I know, and it's so funny is that you probably, even if it was, it's like you would not see any of the returns because that's the way life treats us.
That's right.
We do something and we sell it for something, and then of course somebody turns around and sells it for like triple or quadruple the amount. But again, I'm looking at these pages, and it's for somebody who said they self-taught. And this is another thing that gets me is that you said that you're a big fan of Rob Liefeld, and I could tell you this this is a great example of like how you can be a fan of somebody's art, but you don't let that dictate your particular style or your development. It's like you've learned from them, and you're not doing your your best impersonation of Rob Liefeld. You're being Kevin, and that's what I like about your art too. I would never have known that you were influenced by him, because your style is uniquely your own. Just really, really cool. So after this, what was the next story that you sort of like fell into in terms of like jumping in head first for?
Well, I went back and actually finished up the Kitty Coat graphic novel.
So it was it's a little bit in between there. Okay.
Yeah, I stopped production on that, jumped right into this, because this one's actually more time sensitive. They wanted to get it out before the convention, and I actually got it done, fully inked and everything before the convention launch. And he sold out of all the books that came out, because he ran the convention, so he had the upper hand on that. But he sold all the issues. I had several that I had, and I've got a few left, but they're gone. So I went back, finished the Kitty Coat. That was like 2015.
Right.
And after I left the Broken Icon, I kind of didn't do anything else. It was a couple years, finished up school, graduated, and then went directly into the oil field. So I left what I was doing in 2017, went to North Dakota. Now I've got a family, I've got kids, I got a wife, and I leave to go to North Dakota.
So your life actually, even your whole method when it comes to like illustration in terms of like jumping in head first, your life in general too. It's sort of like get married, have kids. I'm moving to North Dakota to work in the oil fields. It's sort of like you just like. I'm gonna say, if anything, I'm gonna take a lesson from you, aside from like learning from your art, is that you don't sit on your hands. You move. It's like if you have an idea in your head, you go after it. So now you've moved to North Dakota, and you've taken a break from illustration again. Is that what you said?
Well, this is kind of interesting. See, I went to North Dakota. My family stayed here, and now it worked out because I was up there for like so many days, and I would come home for so many days. So I was always home. At least once a month, I was home.
Right.
But during this time, it allowed me a ton of time to work, because my job consisted of majorly me sitting idle for 10, 12 hours a day. So I had all this time to work on stuff. So I bought a digital tablet, the Surface Pro, and I really started getting into doing my own thing. This was like 2018. I started developing my own IP. I was like, at this point, I'm just going to develop my own story. Now, I did take inspiration from seeing the indie movement kind of blow up on Twitter, and these creators who were coming from Marvel and DC and stuff. That Marvel and DC was kind of having this rough time there, and it started kind of tanking, and we're kind of still seeing that today. But what I did see was a lot of indie creators starting their own thing and pushing their own product and being successful at it. And I was like, okay, this is me. I need to come up with my own thing. So I'm not going to work anybody else's projects. I'm going to do my own IP. And that's when I wrote Apollo. I wrote the story for Apollo. Yeah. So with the hours that I had to work on this, I started really tightening down and trying to get better at doing art.
Yeah, so I have some sequentials here that you shared with me, and so Apollo, it's your spawn. This is your baby. This is your indie creation, and from what we talked about during the pre-show yesterday, it's there. It's ready to be. It's almost ready to be debuted to the world this year. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So here we have some sequentials here, and I was like, we went from zombies. I think this is your way of saying I can do more than just zombies. So I look at this, and this is outer space, and so now you're doing sci-fi, and again, totally impressed. We went from zombie apocalypse to like the sci-fi, and you're designing everything from spaceships and these crazy characters. Do you want to like give like a little bit of because I know that we're going to be doing this in the live draw, but maybe you want to give 1,000-foot overview here in terms of what Apollo's about, or
sure. Yeah. So Apollo is my Superman. He's my Invincible. Because I love those characters. DC's Superman, Invincible, Sentry. these super beings that are just like omnipotent and just these powerful beings. That's what I like. But as weird as I am, I don't like super powerful characters. I don't like having characters who are too strong. So this is an interesting story. It's got you'll see some common themes throughout the book, but you're not going to have any idea how this book ends. You're not going to see it coming.
So it's completely like everything that you're doing is it's like subversion. You just you think you know where you're going with it. In fact, when I was looking at it, I noticed these simian characters, and then obviously I got a little bit of this Planet of the Apes vibe. And but then you get this. You got this masked character who looks like an evil Mr. President. He's like literally draped. He's like Cobra Commander style, draped in like the American flag, but he looks like he has like a Destro mask. Just really, I mean, I'm looking at this stuff and I can tell you, everything that I've seen. It's just like it definitely is a attention grabber, and and this is your story. You are the writer. You're the penciler, inker. This is all. This is a culmination of all of your skills since that pamphlet that you paid $7 for to create this vision, right?
Yep. Yeah. See what that the best investment I ever made, $7. Look where it got me.
So like when can our audience expect to like maybe see like this first issue debut? Do you have are you planning on self-publishing, gonna kickstart it, Indiegogo? What are your plans in terms of this?
I'm going to launch this out of my own pocket, and being it's the first issue of a larger project, because the whole project's done, scripted, story wise. So I just broke it down into individual issues, because going back a couple years when I first started this character and I saw everybody kind of doing their own thing, I kind of took on more than I could really manage, and I launched the campaign for this book when I first got it out. And it wasn't successful. Didn't get the traction, which was a good thing, because I was afraid. I'm glad it didn't get through, because I don't think I would have got it completed and out to people's hands in a timely fashion. I sure as heck didn't want to be working on a book for 2 years after people paid for it. That's just bad. Yeah. That's a bad business.
Bad form. Yeah, I totally. Yeah, but I have to say it's even though that was a. I don't even want to call that a failure. That was an obstacle that was thrown in your path, and now it's come. You're going to do it again. You're going to launch this again, but you're not going to do self-publish it, and you've learned your lessons from it, and you have a completed project. So that's your new mission in terms of getting this thing together, right?
Yeah. I want to launch the complete first issue of the comic, see how it's accepted among consumers, see if they like it, and then kind of go from there and do the next issue. I'm gonna crowdfund it probably for the second issue. Once I have the first one done, I want to use that as an incentive to launch the second one, so people know that the book's a serious thing and they'll have something in their hands. So I'm very close to having that done. It's really only about 5 pages before issue 1's completely finished. So this year I can have it done this year. I just got to work. I'm working on other things right now to kind of get that done.
Yeah. So that's. I really, commend you on that, because I think me as a consumer on the other end who wants to support indie creators, that's definitely like a requirement that I look for, because I've been burned by some creators who just sort of like kind of like say, hey, we have an idea, and you're basically crowdfunding it, getting completed, and you have it completed, at least like 90% there, and it's like you said, it's like. You don't want any of your backers to wait like 2 years, 3 years for something to be produced. It's nice to have something like 90% there, and I think that's brilliant. That's the way it should be done, because that's how you build your fan base in terms of making a commitment to them and getting the actual book into people's hands or backers' hands. But I'm looking at this now. This is the character all colored up, all spiffy, with all some core characters here. So like. I know there's some characters in the background here. Are they like a mix of antagonists and or like sidekicks, or are these like? Yes. Can you maybe without spoiling anything? Can you like talk about who some of these characters are? Or
so the character right to his right in the skull mask, that's Tyrant. He is
Tired.
he's like the Lex Luthor to Superman in the story. He's the Red Skull. Um,
Mhm.
he's a tyrant. He's a world dominating dictator. And during the story, what happens with Apollo is the story starts with him waking up in space, lost, damaged, hurt, and he crashes onto this planet and he gets picked up by the simians, this other race of ape like advanced creatures. Now he's depowered, he's weak, and he gets put in prison, and he's starting to realize who he is. Remember what happened to him.
Right.
And the character to his left, to Apollo's left, is his
Mhm.
friend that he meets in this jail, and they try to scheme their Shawshank Redemption way of getting out of this prison to get
I
back
love this.
to get back
It's like,
to
I love how your story is an amalgam of everything that I love. It's like, we're both children of the '80s, and like not and like started drawing in like the '90s too. It's sort of like I love these references. Keep on going, man. It's like everything that you say. It's like, yes, give me more, give me more. Okay, so they're scheming their Shawshank Redemption escape from the simian prison, right? So,
Yes, yeah, and they're trying to get back to Earth, which that's kind of how the first issue ends, is him trying to get back to Earth. Now the larger stories is he's been gone from Earth for years. Like, he is, the last we see of him on planet Earth, or Utopia as it's known on this Earth, is like 20 years. He's gone. And before that, the world was peaceful. There was a group of not military, but government funded superheroes, Guardians of Utopia, who kept the world safe. They were legitimately good superheroes who kept peace on Earth. And each country had their own military, or our own like superhero version. So you're thinking of like the boys in this aspect, but not
Yep.
the corrupted version of the boys. It was just, this is how peace on Earth was kept. Well, once Apollo disappears, like, he gets sucked into a black hole and like teleported decades out into space, and he's like he's comatose. He's been knocked completely out. And he's just sitting there in space, floating around until he finally gets hit with a meteorite and regains consciousness, and he gets picked up as a prisoner. Well, during those years while he was gone, the world has fallen into disarray. It's completely dystopian. The other countries are fighting. They're launching nukes against each other because the superhero program has been completely funded and shut down. So there's no more superheroes. You just got these dictators and warlords coming up, and it's just all hell's broke loose on Earth. So that's what he doesn't know that's happened. So that's him getting back to Earth and finding out that so many years have passed. His world is no longer, and what we see through this is flashbacks of him in issue 1. Where you saw him talking to that general. You see these flashbacks throughout the story as we're telling the present day story of what's going on. So I don't want to ruin it toward the end of it.
Yes,
but,
no. In fact, I
that's
think
his whole thing.
Okay, so that's a great synopsis, because I don't want to spoil anything, because especially when you're on the cusp of releasing the actual first book this year. But it's enough to get people's appetites wet in terms of like who Apollo is. And I like the story, and I noticed all the little nukes on that little globe that's in the background. So really cool. You know what? We have a lot of art that I will show, but I think we just talked about Apollo. I think what I'll do is we'll show some of the other art that you did for other
Sure.
some of your fan arts and some of the other indie creators that you worked with. We can share that a little bit later on, but let's while we're on the subject of Apollo, let's just jump right into our first drawing challenge. But before I do that, I wanted to pop up a comment. This is from a fellow creator friend of mine, David Whalen. He said, "Great use of value to help create the mood," and I believe he popped that up when we were talking about the man in the kitty cat coat. Because you did, not only was it just the black and white line art, but you used a lot of gray tones to do that, and it did create this really great mood. And it made me think of a book that I have called Frame to Ink. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but
I've got that.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, then that makes complete sense, because I could see your panels being used like very effectively in that. So that just goes to show, you're a studied artist, and being able to utilize those particular techniques to tell an effective story. and I could just see that. That would be like a textbook panel that you could actually put in like framed ink, like Volume 3, featuring the great Kevin. But anyway, I just wanted to like show this right here. So if you're in our audience and you'd like to draw along with us, we're going to start our first drawing challenge, and it's going to be Apollo. We got to get a little bit of a lowdown in terms of the Apollo story. I think, Kevin, this will be a great opportunity. Maybe, you talked a little bit about the story. We don't want to go any more into that because we don't spoil it. So maybe we can talk a little bit about maybe inspiration or the aesthetics, like his costume design, things like that. But we're going to set the clock at 15 minutes, and we're going to draw Apollo. So if you are in our audience and you'd like to draw along with us, do a screen capture right now. And we'd like to see your interpretation of Kevin's character. This is his spawn. This is his baby. This is his IP, his original character, and it's going to be debuting later on this year. So screen capture this, and I'm going to solo your camera out now, Kevin. And we're going to, let me set my timer here real quick, and we're going to start with 15 minutes for our first drawing and hear a little bit more about Apollo. So the clock is ticking right now, and I'm going to draw along with you. And if anybody wants to draw along with us, let us know in the comment field. And David, if you're still watching, I would love for you to do a David Whalen, if you could do a version of Apollo, I would love that. And post it to our sister page, which is the Art Show on Facebook, and we'll share it. So the clock is ticking right now, and I'm going to put the mic back in Kevin's hands, and he can tell us a little bit more about Apollo. So have at it. Let's start the drawing.
Okay. Well, let's see. What is there to say? See, Apollo is, like I said, he's like the world's Superman type character. He's tasked with keeping peace on Earth with the other fellow superheroes, and it's a military or a government. You say military, but it's really, I guess it's a DoD project, but
it's government funded. I can't think of what I'm saying.
He's okay.
You're having me do two things at one time.
It's like left brain talk to right brain.
Oh,
Yeah, it is difficult to talk about that in terms of like multitask. But yeah, just do your best. I'll be here to help you get through this. So like it's a DoD project. So now like the world is a dystopia now. So like he's had to come back. He has his memories back, right? He's not like an amnesiac, right? So
right. So he during his time in space, he never forgot who he was. He was just out of the game. So he was in his comatose type state. So when he does revive, he immediately thinks, "Where's my wife? Where's my kids?" Because before he got blasted into space, he was trying to rescue his wife when this like mini black hole like gets opened up by Tyrant. So Tyrant is the one that sends him out into space. And his first worry, like when it opens up, he's having these dreams of his wife, and right before the explosion happens, he wakes up. He's like, "Where's my wife?" And that's when he gets picked up by these apes. Now the ape characters, that was just kind of like something I wanted to think of, something that complete opposite of just regular run the mill aliens. There's something about advanced, and it probably was inspiration from Planet of the Apes, but I wanted something that would be imposing to him as a superhero, of these like alien type apes, because what's stronger than a silverback gorilla? There's no other creature that's got that kind of strength that can manipulate things. So that's kind of where I developed those characters from. So he spends his time, and he's just he's freaking out. He's in this prison, and he's just like a regular guy. He's not a Boy Scout or anything like that. He's just a regular guy. He's got normal feelings. He's not an alien. He just has these normal worries and responsibilities. But
you're not going the anti-hero route too, where he's like conflicted and stuff like that. Because I have to tell you is that I'm done with the anti-hero type things. It's like I kind of want a hero that doesn't see things in gray. He's there's good and evil. So is that the way that Apollo is? Does he have like a good? I mean, he knows there's no second guessing in terms of his motivations and what he sees as good or bad.
Right. So he's like an employee. He has his own thoughts and feelings, but he's not underlying evil. He tries to do the best he can with what he's got and the responsibilities that he has, and he's respectful to his teammates. He loves his country. He loves what's going on, and he's a true hero in the sense of the word of being the best he can be as a normal person. So he has, he's seen tragedy, he's seen victory, he's lost people, but the most important thing to him at this moment is his family, his children, his wife, and all he can think about is, she's dead. Like, she's dead. He doesn't realize how long he's been gone.
Spoiler.
Well, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Okay.
But in his mind, he the last thing he saw was his wife being destroyed when this atom, this nuclear like black hole, bomb erupts. So that's what he's filling out the first issue is, I've lost my wife, and he doesn't realize he's been gone this long. He's like, okay, I got to get back, but he's trapped. He's depowered, so he can't fight off his aggressors. He's being taken in and being inspected and thrown in prison, and there's hints in that first issue that I won't say that kind of make you question, like, what? Okay, well, that's interesting. Well, I didn't think that was going to happen. And he meets this alien guy who's kind of a sarcastic sidekick. It's kind of got that 80s buddy cop feel to it. Some of the dialogue with this creature. He's a pretty cool character. But that's kind of where we're at. So he's just a good guy. He's a good guy, and there's other darkness that's going on behind the scenes that he's not aware of. Of course, there always has to be. And I'm not going to say anything else about that, but
okay,
because that actually would be spoiling the story.
Okay, well let's talk about. You said he got depowered. What is his power set? You want? Is that a spoilery, or is that?
No, it's not a spoiler. He's a Superman character. He's got super strength. He can fly. He can shoot beams out of his eyes. He is in that essence. He's a stereotypical Superman type character, and that's about as far as it goes. He doesn't have the breath. He doesn't have the X-ray visions, but he does have the basic needs of being a superhero: invulnerability, super strength, projectile eyes, blasts, and flight. And I don't want to focus so much on his abilities, because that's like a side aspect of his character. It's more about him as a character. Hopefully that comes through in the story as you read it. But he's got the weapons he needs to do the job that's required of him, I guess.
I like what you just said there, because it's kind of like it's like zombie books. Zombie books are, you think it's about the zombies, but the Walking Dead, the reason why that was successful, I think, is because it's not about zombies. Yeah, sure, there are zombies in there, but that's just the backdrop to the human story, the way the characters interact and how they respond to that. So I think that when I'm hearing about Apollo, he's a superhero. He definitely has superpowers, but it's not just about that. It's about, like you mentioned, him coming to terms with being depowered and also the loss of his wife, and the way that the world has fallen into chaos while he's been gone. So it's like him having superpowers. That's like a secondary story, right?
Yeah. So it's like, for him, it's an everyday job. He gets up, he goes to work, so he doesn't think anything about it. But being that he's always had these powers and now they're gone, and he's out in space, what worse place could you be? Last thing you saw was this bomb your wife, and then you're gone, and now you're under this these ape type creatures. You have no powers, and you're God knows where. Where else could you be that's in a worse position? So for him, he's never been like this. So it's interesting how he's going to have to manage that and find some way to get back to an Earth that he doesn't realize has went to hell, basically. So the story works out to where he does figure a way out. He does reconcile with that, and I'm not going to say. I don't want to give away more part of that. So.
Yeah, no. Let's. I feel like we don't want to. You're you've definitely
I want
given
to give
us,
it all away, and I don't want to give it away.
you don't. Yeah, you don't. Yeah. So let's talk about his look too. Okay, so let's obviously there are some Superman vibes to it, but white, red, and gold. Uh, I mean, is there a story behind his costume? I even look at that symbol that's like everybody. You mentioned Superman, and he has that S on his chest, but here we have something that's very. It almost looks like a U. I don't know. Is there something deeper to that, or is that just a design element?
That's kind of like his employee
A costume. He's the Guardians of the Utopian. He's the leader of the Utopian Guardians. So that's his country top costume. He wears it to show he's the leader of the Guardians.
So it's almost like this is branding. It's like branding in the sense that superheroes have they're like endorsements. They're like athletes in terms of like this in this society. They have a commercial, almost a commercial appeal to them, right?
Yeah, so like every city or every state has their own police force, and they all have their own kind of look to them. As the utopian like police in a way, this is their costume. They have to represent themselves with the giant U for the utopian because that's what they represent. That's what they want to maintain is this peace on earth type situation. And of course, under any utopian, you think of Rome, for example, it was a beautiful thing. It was so prosperous. There's underneath that veneer of beauty is a mold that's growing. There's bacteria that's growing, and that's what's happening here in the overhead of the story is, everything seems peaceful and great, but something's going on behind the scenes that we don't see. So that's kind of how he is. He's the face of the country. Is the greatest superhero. Now each area in the country on the Utopia does have its own like localized hero force, all government funded, all produced, and for the most part running very well. But once he's gone, everything breaks down. It all goes to hell. Funding stops. They depower the superheroes. You start seeing them lose everything, go crazy. Committing suicide and just dying and everything. And so it makes it an impossible situation. That's kind of where I wanted to go with the story. Is how do you take an impossible situation and come out somewhere on top, or even come out even on it? Do you come out above it, or do you barely survive it? And I think that's what I liked about some of the other stories is I like the darkness to a story that it doesn't always have to have a happy ending. And I don't know if that's a cynical part of my personality that I like to see like complete and utter struggle to sometimes not even succeed.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes someone would argue that you're a realist. I mean, pessimists could be considered realists. But you know what? I think if everything was just rosy, then it doesn't really explain the human condition, because we have to deal with challenges. So if everything is like rosy and perfect, then it doesn't seem real, right? It's like you have to have challenges, because that's what we go through in our lives, right? I mean,
exactly.
You don't want everything to be perfect.
That's boring too. It's just completely boring to have everything perfect. And I think that's why I like the story. The way it takes its turn is, you have your character arcs. And I'm not a storyteller. This is my first story I ever wrote. I'm sure it's going to have its issues to it, but I wanted to have that classic story arc where you start out at the bottom, you go up, you come down, you go up, and you come back down again, and then hopefully you get back up, toward the end of it, or something like that. It's got to have its ebbs and flows, and I think I've got that captured in the story. I guess we'll see when people read it.
Okay, so obviously we're not going to go into any more spoiler territory here, but have you scripted? I'm just going to open it up. Do you have it scripted like for more than the first couple issues, or is something like, do you have already a storyline that's developed that's going to be told for 100 issues, or how far do you see it going? If it gets received well, do you have enough stories to go to 100?
Well, the first graphic novel, which was the original idea for it, is 100 pages. So I've got probably three 3 to 4 issues I could pull out of that completely scripted story. From that point on, yes, I've got a really good idea how I want to continue it out that completely changes the whole story. You're seeing the story at face value from what it is, and then at the end of it, we're going to pull back and we're going to be like, what WTF is going on with this? It's like, this is a whole new story.
So is that like I'm detecting kind of like this trend is that you want to keep the audience guessing, right? It's sort of like you whatever the audience thinks they're going to get or it's going to go, it's like you want to make sure that it's never going to go that way. Is that kind of like your goal?
Yeah, I like that. I want you to feel comfortable in the story and what you think is going on, and then when you least expect it, you get cold-cocked in the side of the head, and you're like, "What?
What just happened? What just happened?" Well, gosh, I feel like I don't want to push it because if anybody were to read this, it's like, man, I don't want to get invested in this because it's going to change completely. I think that's kind of the charm too. I think that you don't want to be predictable. I think that a lot of comics today is that maybe it's become predictable, and it's like, oh, it's gotten to the point where a character will die, and then you're like going, they're not gonna die. They'll show up again in the next, like the next 10 issues or something like that. And I think that's the sense of consequence, the sense of loss in mainstream comics. It just doesn't resonate with readers anymore because it seems like that's a gimmick. The clock just expired. Let's. I haven't looked. I haven't looked at your thing. You want to say? Let's. Is it okay with you? Maybe we can add another 5 minutes. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If I start talking, I'll take my pen off the tablet and I'll start pontificating and making hand gestures for no reason.
No problem. That just goes to show you're an effective public speaker, because you got to speak with your hands, and sometimes it's hard to do that when you're drawing. So here, I'm going to add an extra 5 minutes to this, and I'm like always. I always try to like not look at what my guests are doing because I want to be surprised. Because just like you, it's like if I start watching what my guests are doing, I'll just want to like watch them and not draw myself. So
I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way.
Okay, so what were we talking? We're talking about subverting expectations, right? Yeah,
exactly. Getting out of the norms of standard comic book telling and being permanent with things. Like if something happens, it's people don't get invested in it because 2 issues down the road it's going to be reverted back. Like, oh, okay, he's not dead. He was in a stasis or whatever. He's fine. He's coming back. And I hate that.
That's why I like Invincible so much. That's why I like The Boys, because those characters die. They're done. That's it.
Yeah, no resurrection for them, right?
Exactly.
You get invested in a character, and you spend this time with it, and then that's what was so good about The Walking Dead. You get the character development, and then you lose that character. In Game of Thrones, for example, is probably the best one. And they murder everybody. But
I know, it's like no one was safe. It's like, yeah.
You find that character the first episode, do not get attached to it because 2 episodes later he's getting beheaded or something.
Oh, well, that was Sean Bean though. I think Sean Bean just basically, it's like, so he's in this movie, I guess he's gonna die. It's like I think in every movie that he's in, everybody just expects that his character is gonna get offed.
He's got the longest and shortest resume in acting history.
I have to agree with that. But I like Sean Bean. I think he's a great actor. But it was just so misleading when we saw the trailers for and all the posters for Game of Thrones, and then he's dead. We were like, I can't believe that just happened. It's like, well, do all this thing to promote this character, and he's gone. But
it set the tone for the whole series. That's for sure. Yeah, it was. But that's me. I like comics that have a certain type of finality to them. I want you to see it. I want you to get invested in the character, and then
you don't want to
with the consequences.
That's exactly it. Because then the weight of actions means something, right?
Exactly.
But I like that because I think we were joking around about J.J. Abrams yesterday. And I had to say it's like. In terms of, and that was more from a visual aesthetic, and we're going to talk a little bit about storytelling. I like that when storytellers, authors, scripters, whenever they come up with something, it's nice to know that they know there's an end game. It's not like it's it's written with no sense of conclusion, because then it
Mhm.
kind of like it's just sort of meanders. It just you don't. I think a good example is like Lost. Were you a fan of Lost? Did you watch
I know of it, never watched it, and I'm glad I
uh,
didn't because when it ended, people were so upset about it, and I was like, "Oh God, I'm glad I didn't invest my time in that mess."
yeah, that mess. It's like I was one of those guys that I didn't even bother finishing it because I just heard the ending was so bad, and it was like I don't know. I feel like we were given all these hints about a larger story, and they just didn't go anywhere. And you just feel like, well, why bother? And
Hmm.
I like that your characters and your story that you're coming up with, um, they have there's a finality to it.
Yep, there's a purpose for it, and hopefully the characters play all their important roles as required. And once that kind of kicks off from there, I've always loved like the Justice League type situation where you got these big giant teams. So I've got
Mhm.
ideas to bring something like that back into it after this Apollo arc is finished for the first series or whatever. And there's going to be more Apollo, of course, but I kind of want to take the opportunity, if it's successful, to break off and kind of show a larger team environment, because I like teams, but I feel like it's almost too much when you get a big team book going to really invest in those characters.
Mhm.
That's why I want to start with Apollo and expand from there because he's the leader. He's the
Mhm.
most important character. There's no doubt about that. If it wasn't for Apollo, they wouldn't have what they've got. So they see him as a leader, they respect him, and they look to him for guidance. And
Mhm.
that was important to me. I wanted to have that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I think this story, once it's done, when my when I created this with my buddy, we were kind of brainstorming this together. I came with him with the general idea. We talked the whole book out, and when we were done, we were like, "This is really really good." Um,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, "I've got to make this book. This is something
Mhm.
I've got to do." So
Uh,
hopefully my brain, it's not as good as my brain. I hope it's better in reality than it is in my brain. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
well, it's like one of those things. Is till you get out there. I think it's important that yeah, it's in your brain, but get it out of your brain and get it on paper, get it produced, because no one will know if it is as good as you think it is until it actually gets produced. And
Yeah,
I, for
that's very
one,
true.
am just I'm excited. I can't wait till you actually drop it. And we are approaching our last minute, so just gonna give you a heads up. I'm just gonna try and whenever I get to this last minute, I just try and like darken my lines because I have such a raw, sketchy look that all of my lines look crazy. So I just want to like maybe make it some semblance of like an illustration. But
I've got like half a bust.
hey, well, that's another thing about doing illustrations here on the show, Kevin, is that don't feel like you need to like get it completely finished. If you, I really just wanted to let our audience uh, see the magic kind of happen, and if you want to like revisit it and draw, and refine it and draw it, to make it more of what you thought that it should be, you can give it to us a little later on, and I'll be more than happy to post it on
Okay,
our Facebook page and do it as a follow up.
sure.
So uh, yeah, we are in our last minute, so I don't want to quite open up another can of worms and ask you another question that could lead to potential spoilers. So I think we'll just leave it at that, and let's go ahead and finish our illustration here. Um, all right,
Yeah, don't
so
don't try to keep any government secrets with me. I won't be able to hold on to them.
exactly. Well, to me, it's like whenever I have guests on here, I'm gonna try and get the spoilers. I'm gonna try and get more information than I should, and it's just because I'm so curious and I want to like know a little bit more about what's cooking in terms of what our guests are doing. All right, so okay, so we're approaching our last 30 seconds. So uh, let me go ahead and check out while you're doing that. I'm gonna check. Um, our sister page, which is the art show, and see if anybody drew along with us.
Okay.
And let's see. All right, so it looks like no one commented in the chat area, but maybe they just forgot. So let me check and see. It'll give you a little bit more time to refine your illustration. Uh, Oh, I am so happy that without a fail, one of my good friends from the Philippines. Just want to let you know of our international reach here.
Oh, nice.
You got a fan here that stayed up. I think it's like 2 a.m. in the Philippines,
Oh
and
my gosh.
Victor Rufino, he stayed up to like draw along with us. I'm so happy. All right, so
That's awesome.
let me
Thank you,
get
Victor.
and he did an incredible interpretation of your character Apollo. So let me get that ready to go. And all right, so oh shoot, this is the first time that I looked at your artwork. Incredible work. Oh,
Thank you.
it's so good. So you did this in 20 minutes. Let's zoom in here, and let's. You can almost see like the tension. I mean the weight of the world that's like on his expression. It's like he feels like. I mean, I'm looking at the illustration, and it's like it tells a story already right there in terms of it's like literally the weight of the world is on him. It's just
He's got that look like he went to Starbucks and they didn't put his mocha in his frappuccino.
okay. I say that he has the weight of the world on his shoulders, and you say he just did not get his double shot of espresso, in his Starbucks here. So. Yeah, I think that could be the thing too. The important thing is that the illustration tells a story. So very, very cool. Let me get back our faces here. So I'm gonna minimize that. All right. Okay, so let me share. This is great. Let me share. I'll unshare this. Stop share, and let me share the illustration that we got from Victor Rufino. So, all right. So let me maximize this. Check this out.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
I mean, he definitely has like this kind of like a messiah type thing in terms of like
Yeah.
he's not walking on water, he's walking on air.
Yes.
And then there's like nuclear explosions going on in the background too. So,
that tells two types of stories right there. That could be like good and bad.
Victor's been like he's such a technical illustrator, and I've seen in his artwork recently he's becoming more loose and capturing gestures and things like that. And I think it's really cool that he was able to, like you said, there could be multiple stories that can be kind of like told from this particular illustration. So Victor, thank you so much for drawing along with us.
Yeah, that's really good for 20 minutes. Goodness.
Yeah.
Give him 3 hours and see what he comes up with.
Let's see. I agree completely. All right, so it looks like no one else drew along with us. Let me share mine real quick, and then we'll move to the next drawing challenge. I feel like mine doesn't really tell a story. Mine's kind of like pretty much kind of cliche, if anything. Let me share this real quick.
You probably got a full figure and everything. You probably got a background and everything.
I don't know about that. It's I'm all about disappointment. I always want to like make sure that I disappoint people. So here we go. So let me share this real quick. All right.
See, look at that. Look at that. You got a whole figure. I told you.
Oh well, no, but it's like, what is he doing? What does he say? It's like he's like looking at somebody who's gonna like come at him, I guess. And maybe
it's like he's getting ready to throw a heavy haymaker at somebody.
Yeah, possibly, but it doesn't tell this. It doesn't have the Starbucks touch like you talked about.
I like that though. I like it because that's him. That's him in his element. That's him doing his job right there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for making me feel better about how storyless my illustration is. but anyway, what I want to impart on you is that I'm intrigued. I think that Apollo, as the story that you kind of like set the groundwork for, is just incredible. I think it has a lot of potential in my head. It's like you've told a lot about it, but I'm like formulating stories in my head in terms of like where it's going to go. And we actually had let me pull up the that PDF that we had earlier, and here we go. And
it's like Dave said he threw his into the art show. Looks like.
Oh, he did. Okay, I'm gonna check that out. So we have somebody else that drew. Great. Okay, so. Before I show it, I was going to like just finish my thought here. Is that these characters in the background, they're just intriguing to me too. It's like, especially this guy with the goggles that are shaped like crosses. I'm like, what exactly is he about? But I'm not going to actually ask you to tell me about it because
I'll tell you.
Fear that because for fear that it might spoil something. Like maybe find out he's like his long lost father. He's an alien. I don't know. Anyway, we won't go there. So let me go back to like the art show. See if I can find David drew here. So, oh my gosh, another great illustration. All right, so I don't know if you know David Whalen. David Whalen is a creator that actually I've had a guest on the show many times. He has his own comic, his own He publishes his own books. He's a lefty. He's a southpaw, and he named his comic book company Correct-Handed Comics to make sure that people know. So because there's a lot of like left bashing out there, and I have to say
he's drawing the line in the sand, ain't he?
Yeah, I have to say that it is a right-hand person's world, unfortunately. But I have to say that David is my favorite left-handed creator. Can just put that out there right now. So let me share what he did. So here we go. Check this out. Look at that.
I like that. That's some serious action right there. I like that.
I know. Look at that foreshortening. Just incredible work. I'm glad that Victor and David got to draw along with us. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Right. Thank you. I love that. I love that action pose.
Yeah, I think I have to say all of you guys have narratives behind your drawings, and mine just ended up being like a little bit of a pin up there with nothing there going on. But let's go to before we get to the next drawing challenge. I wanted to we're kind of like doing the show a little bit, all going back and forth between little things because I find that we want to give a little bit of a foundation for our live drawing. So let me share one more screen before we get to it. Let's see. All right, so there's a little bit of a hint. We can see David Kevin beat me to the punch.
Oh, sorry.
I'm trying to my little bit of my pun there with my punch. Anyway, let me go ahead and put that in the background. So let me share this screen here. All right, so what we're going to be doing is this is something that I find, what's the word? Charming? This is something that I find so charming about Kevin's artwork is, we got to see his sci-fi, we got to see his zombies, we got to see his fan art. But like I said, he is a man of many talents. And this is something that is completely unique. I don't know of anybody out there that's doing this. So he's a fan of horror. Kevin has talked about that. But did you know that he's a fan of Kool-Aid? So I just think that well, not so much. It's more about the Kool-Aid Man and how it's taking it to like another level. And so he's come up with this thing called Killer Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. I'm going to show this. I'm going to show some artwork from this. Before we get into drawing some of this, Kevin, why don't you talk a little bit about like the meaning behind this, how you came up with this concept?
Okay, now this I can completely spoil. I can tell you everything about this.
Yes, you can.
This is just being because I'm stuck in the 80s. I love all that stuff. I love the horror movies. I love all the toys, right. and if you're a kid in the 80s, this was like the kids. This was your drink. If you weren't drinking Kool-Aid, you weren't drinking nothing. So like I grew up on Kool-Aid. And
you gotta drink the purple stuff, right?
That's right, that purple drink. I like that purple drink.
Purple drink.
Want some of that purple stuff.
That was our Dave Chappelle reference there, but keep on going.
That's right. So I didn't have the Sunny D. I didn't live in that kind of economical level back in the day. So I was Kool-Aid. I was sugar water and Kool-Aid.
And Tang. You remember Tang?
I wasn't Tang. I couldn't get Tang.
You couldn't get Tang?
I was Kool-Aid, man.
Oh well, because Tang. That's because you could go into outer space. Because Anyway,
well, Tang was that suburban type of drink. That was that 3-story suburban drink. Yeah, as far as I remember.
Okay. All right. We'll keep it Kool-Aid. Keep on talking about Kool-Aid.
So it was. I was doing T-shirt designs for a while, and for a couple years, just kind of taking things that I liked and trying to make cool T-shirt designs. For.
And it hit me one day. I was looking at there was an artist I follow on Instagram, and he had designed this Halloween, not Halloween the movie, but a Halloween type Kool-Aid man, and he was a pumpkin, and it was a Kool-Aid man. And I was looking, I was like, that's really cool. I was saying, I wonder if I could take that literally to the next level. So what could I do to make that my own? And I was thinking about it, and I sketched out the Cannibal Cherry Crush, and it wasn't Cannibal Cherry Crush at the time. It was just Leatherface type character, on the Kool-Aid man. I was like, how can I merge these two together? And it worked. I was like, holy crap, this is really interesting. So I made a T-shirt design out of that, and it sat on TeePublic forever, and it didn't go anywhere and didn't do anything. And that was it. I was like, okay, that's all there is to it. And so taking what I liked about the horror movies and the pop culture of the 80s and the Kool-Aid Man's iconic and bringing those together, it sat there. And then I got hit up by a guy around 2018 or 2019, and he wanted me to design this enamel pin for his idea, which was based off of old 80s horror movie by Peter Jackson. It was the Brain Dance, or what was it? Dead Alive. It was Dead Alive.
Okay.
So I drew that out, and he loved it. It was great. I can't show that on here because it is not safe for work. It's got nudity on it, but I drew it out. He made the pins, and he loved it. It looked great. I was like, wow, this turned out really good, and I never knew anything about it. And I was thinking, it's like, I've got these pins, or not these pins, but these T-shirt designs of these Kool-Aid characters that I've made. I was like, I bet these could be pins. So I took the art that I had, which was the Cannibal Cherry, and the Jason, and the Michael Myers, and the Pinhead, and I put them out online and kind of got some feelers to see what people thought about it. They loved it. People were like, "Oh my God, this is so good! I love these. These would be great." So I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot." So I got some money together out of pocket and had these these characters. The first one made, the Cannibal Cherry Crush, Leatherface. I had it made. And then I was thinking about how I could do the card backing. I was like, I've got to keep this all together. Part of, I went to school for graphic design. So part of graphic design is a common theme on your packaging. This is perfect. This will look like, I can make this look like a package of Kool-Aid as the card backing. So me being
brilliant,
the overthinker that I am, I'm thinking, okay, I've got to make these cards unique. So I made these card backings front and back. The back of the card is just like a Kool-Aid packet, and it's specific to the story of that character. So it's all tongue-in-cheek. It's all silly. And these had a good turnout. So then I thought, well, I've got to take this on the next level. I need Series 2. So that's when I came out with Series 2. And then I'm still in the process of getting these guys done. I've got 3 of the 5 done. This one, and once again, it gives me the freedom of taking what I like as a kid and making this product, because everything I do, honestly, is stuff for me. If no one else likes it, that's unfortunate, but I do it for me and I like it. And that's where I want to be as a professional, is I want to make things that I like that people want to buy.
Yes. So that's like, you're like the Steve Jobs of Killer Aid, because Steve Jobs had that same mentality. It's like he wanted things that people didn't even know they wanted. And I think for you, it's like you want to illustrate things. I want them, and I'm going to make people want them because it's just something that's so cool. Look at this. But yeah, so like this is, aside from, you're from the 80s too. Garbage Pail Kids. You remember Garbage Pail Kids?
Exactly. That was also, yes, Garbage Pail Kids was a huge influence on the overall arc of this whole thing. Is like collectability, unique characters, and just could go on forever pretty much.
Yeah, and it's brilliant because the packaging design, it like writes itself because the Kool-Aid packets, everybody remembers those packets, and and it just made complete sense to put that as your backing, for the actual pins. But I kind of like was scrolling through these, and it's gone beyond just the enamel pins. We got trading cards, sketch cards, and then you being the you're talking about graphic design and the marketing side of Kevin here. He's taking it to that next level because, you may want to get a sunshade for your car, if you want that, or maybe you might want a mouse pad to go along with it. It's like the possibilities are endless. There's so much potential in here. Yeah, it's brilliant. I have to say that. I think it's just amazing what you came up with. And yeah, so this is what our next drawing challenge is going to be. And I'm hoping that Victor and David can join us again. I'm going to reset the clock to, we're going to do just one more. So I'm going to make this 20 minutes. And the challenge is to do your own Killer Aid character. We're going to get treated to Kevin's next pin project. He's already started it, but he's going to talk about it. And it's for a franchise that is near and dear to his heart. And he's going to tell me he's going to educate us in terms of this particular franchise. It's on Netflix. It's called, what was it? The Trailer Park Boys. So I was joking around with him. It's like, maybe everybody knows who Trailer Park Boys are except for me. They've been around for 13 seasons, and now they're going to be a part of the Killer Aid universe, and that's an honor in itself. But that is, however, that is what Kevin's going to do. Kevin's going to, because you're going to get a sneak peek about the next pin in this assortment, this wave of Killer Aid pins that are going to be coming out. So you're going to get to see that initial illustration. But to the larger audience, if you do know who the Trailer Park Boys are, maybe you can do your own Killer Aid variation of that. But if you don't, the challenge is to do any character you wish in the Killer Aid style that Kevin has had here. And then we're going to hear Kevin talk about his latest edition that he's going to be sketching out and showing us the process. So that being said, let me minimize this, get this off the screen, and I'm going to pull up your art cam again and make that nice and big for everybody to see, and we're going to go from there. So Kevin, the mic is in your hands, and you can talk about whatever you want. I think we were talking about yesterday about how we could express the what Trailer Park Boys is about, and of course Killer Aid. So you have at it. Tell us all about it.
So during the process of making the Killer Aid pins, it's very horror related, and I was thinking, like I always do, what else can I do with this? Where else can I take it? And a buddy of mine approached me and was like, you know what, you could do a Ghostbuster versions of these characters. And I was like, oh yeah, because there's 4 of them. They could do like a special edition, version of these. And I kind of was thinking about the Funko Pops because they're everywhere, but they're in the same genre. They take different characters and mash them together and whatnot, or make their own characters. So I was thinking, okay, we got Ghostbusters, that could be done. What else could I do? What other characters could I get that are really flamboyant, unique, and that you would recognize them as this type of character? And I was thinking, Trailer Park Boys would be perfect. These guys are just nuts. And they would translate over into characters very noticeable and very recognizable in this series. So I didn't want to do all horror, but I wanted to branch out and see what I could do. So now these characters, they're going to be my version of the Trailer Park Boys. Because I can't do them directly on because that would be, copyright issues. But if you know what the Trailer Park Boys are by now, which I'm surprised that Gerald's the only one that doesn't.
I've been living under a rock apparently, but I'm gonna, after this show, I'm gonna binge watch all 13 seasons. How about that? So
there you go.
So
you're gonna be a destroyed man if you watch all 13 seasons of the show.
My brain will be fried.
Oh yeah, you're gonna come out with different type of morals. That's for sure. This the Trailer Park Boys is like, in essence, if the Three Stooges were drug dealing jail reprobates in a Canadian trailer park, is the best way to explain it. They're always scheming something. They're always trying to find a quick way to make a buck and retire. And their idea of retiring is like $12,000 at the bank. They're retired for life. That's their main goal. They have no concept of reality. Then they're always getting into trouble, shootouts. If they're setting up, they're shooting out. No one ever gets hit. These are like stormtroopers, and they don't hit nobody. They don't ever get hit. But it's the first thing you do is they pull their guns out in the first 2 seconds of any confrontation. The gun comes out of their pants or something, and each character is their own. You've got the main character Ricky. You've got Bubbles, and you've got Julian. And these 3 guys are always scheming something. If it's stealing meat from a grocery store and selling in the parking lot, to
opening up a strip club on top of a trailer, they'll do it.
If that doesn't sell you on the series and make you want to go watch it, not now because you got to watch Kevin right now. But I don't know what will, right? So.
It's it's not for kids. It's very, very vulgar, but it's not graphic. It's not violence. There's no killing or nudity or anything like that. But it's just these silly type of characters that just Lord knows what they get into and how they get into it. But every season usually ends with them all going to prison. If it's them, if it's the trailer park supervisor who is a functioning raging alcoholic, or his ex-male prostitute, no t-shirt wearing assistant trailer park supervisor who is a cheeseburger eater. These characters write themselves, man. They are just every one of them has a quirk. It's crazy. It's very funny.
So just based on that, you said I have to. This is the next logical step for the Killer Aid. Because you've done like all horror. Like I've seen like some of the sketch cards have branched out to non-horror characters, and this series is not horror, right? It's more of like a South Park style show. So like, what is this more because is Kevin saying, you know what? It doesn't have to be a horror genre because dang it, I came up with this and I can do what I'm going to do it because I want to. Is that basically what you said?
Yeah, definitely. It was, I wanted to, I don't want to get stuck in just doing all horror, which is going to be the majority of what I do, but I wanted to have the branching out ideas of other characters and see where this could go. And because some people don't like horror, but some people do love pop culture, and the Trailer Park Boys is a pop culture icon. If they will be for years down the road, and people know them. So, but once again, it's something that I like, and I'm making for myself, and hopefully people will enjoy it. And if you love the show, you're definitely going to love these characters because they're going to hit on all the points that you see it, it. This is that's Julian, that's Ricky, that's Bubbles, but they're my characters, they're my flavors. So this character right here, for example,
ooh, I like how you said my flavor. That's choice language there, right there. keep on going. Yes, keep on going.
So the thing about Julian is the muscle. He's this handsome guy who is never is seen without his drink in his hand. I kid you not. 13 seasons, he's never put that drink down. So he's known as the schemer. He's always got the ideas, and he has this love-hate relationship with Patrick Swayze. So that's
keeping the memory of Patrick Swayze alive, right?
No, not necessarily. He there's a story about that in the show, but he hates it. He hates to be called Patrick Swayze.
Okay.
So it's still a thing, but so his name is Julian. I come up with the idea. This flavor would be Orange Julian.
Ooh, okay.
I'm very tacky and very dorky when it comes to these things. But Orange Julian came to mind. So this is an orange flavor type character. But you notice he's got his drink, he's got his registered trademark goatee, and he's got his gun and he's got his big muscles. That's how he rolls. But he's a good character. He just has these schemes all the time, and he wants to retire with $3,500 in his pocket. So the other character that I've got that's pretty much done. Actually, this is the Bubbles character. He lives in a shed on the trailer park with his cats, and he's got these giant glasses that make him look like he's got bubbles for eyes.
Okay, I'm trying to like keep this picture in my head, but keep on going. It's really.
So yeah, I've got him done, and the other character, Ricky, he's the trouble. He's the one quick to violence, and he's the drug dealer. He grows the best dope in all of Canada. Even when he's in jail, the dope in jail is never as good as what he makes. He don't mind going to jail. He likes going to jail because he can play hockey and he gets good alcohol and good weed.
I gotta watch this show. I gotta watch this show.
Oh my gosh, it is.
When it plays out like a mockumentary, these guys are being followed throughout the entire seasons by this camera crew. For some reason, it never gets explained, but it opens up with them in a gun shootout on the middle of Main Street, and these camera guys are following around. It's like it's weird, but you get used to it after a while. But these camera guys are following around all the time. They're getting into gunfights. They're getting shot. Sometimes like one of them gets shot when they're trying to steal tractors from this guy's barn. It's God, it's so weird.
I have to tell you, it's like what you've just described to me. It's so off the wall that and the fact that it's been produced, it just blows my mind. I'm like going, yeah, I can't believe that. It's kind of like Rick and Morty. Some of the stuff that you see on Rick and Morty, I don't know if you're a fan of that, but
Oh yeah,
some of the topics that they come up with, it's like I can't believe they wrote that. And what you just described to me, it just makes me think the same thing. It's maybe the most unpredictable stuff is just what makes it so much more appealing, right?
oh yeah. They try so hard to succeed in the show, and sometimes they do. Most times they don't. But like the character Ricky, his biggest accomplishment in starting the show is he gets his grade 9. So he like graduates 9th grade. He's like 35, and he's talking about like now my life has changed. I've got my grade 9. You know, the world's my oyster, and he lives out of his car on this trailer park with no doors in the car, and he's got covered in like this. He's got toasters and barbecues on his car, and he's got his car clearing stick, which is a hockey stick. And when he needs to leave, he just like takes the hockey stick and throws everything off his car. He is. Oh my gosh, he's incorrigible.
So tell me, how did you discover this? Was this something that was it recommended to you, or did you you said it's on Netflix, right? So like, was it did it just show up on like, hey, if you like this, check this out, because if you were a fan of this, and it makes me wonder, it's like if you were a fan of something else that would lead Netflix to recommend you watch it, like what would that have to be? But how did you discover Trailer Park Boys?
Oh, it's a
Comedy show, so I actually started watching them. They've got a couple movies. They got the series, and then they've got like 3 or 4 movies. I caught one of their movies, and the picture of this movie, the art on it is basically this guy's giant gut, and it's got their 3 faces tattooed to his gut, and it says Trailer Park Boys on it. And I was like, I've got to watch this. This seems like a very intriguing, possibly very intellectual movie. I might really see a lot about myself and reevaluate. No, it's just straight up. I saw that gut with a tattoo. I was like, I've got to watch this. This is a mess.
And it was wild. And then from there, I had to go back and at the time, I don't believe that Netflix had their older shows on there. I think it took a while for them. And then they finally started putting up like, I think 10 seasons from the actual Nova Scotian channel or whatever. They brought them on. And then Netflix bought Trailer Park Boys a couple years later. And the rest of the seasons are all produced by Netflix. Mm-hmm. So they thought enough of them to bring them in.
Oh, that was another detail that was left out, is that it's not it's Nova Scotian. And I was talking to you yesterday. It's like, I've been to Nova Scotia, and the fact that you said the creators, they're from Nova Scotia, is that what it was?
Yeah,
the 3 main characters, Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles, they're actually the creator of the show.
Oh, okay. But I was just like so amazed that could be that whole story could be conceived by Nova Scotians. It just seems like I was there, and it's like just happy, nice people. We had my fill of lobsters while I was up there. And what else is Nova Scotia known for? I just never would have thought Nova Scotia would be known for the Trailer Park Boys.
You don't see it. It's wild how they come up with it, and like I said, they really they have some of the most unique characters, and each of them plays their own part, and each of them is completely standalone in what they do. And you see them, and you're like, this is a whole like entourage of just crazy people.
Yeah. So I just want to be clear. So like your next series of Killer Raid cards, they're going to be all 3 characters from the show, or are you going to like what is the plan? Are you planning on doing like a maybe a series of different characters, and then like every new wave there'll be a new person from the Trailer Park Boys, or all of Wave 2? Is it going to be that?
Well, Wave 2 is actually is the characters I've got right now, which is the thing, the assimilating Arctic Blast. It's another series of horror characters, and these are kind of going to be like a special edition. Just kind of like three character set of a special edition. And the thing that's recurring in the story of Trailer Park Boys is their whole retirement plan throughout the series is this thing called Freedom 35, which I don't know where it comes from, but it's like that's their whole thing. So that was my incorporation into this series. Is it's going to be like a Freedom 35 type feel to it. It's not going to be necessarily Kool-Aid. It's not going to be Killer Aid, but it's going to be, maybe like a diet version of something, that's referencing the Freedom 35, very like a Pabst Blue Ribbon type thing, very
I get you.
American redneck type thing. That's kind of where I'm at. I want to make it its own thing, but still in the flavor of, I say flavor, but still in the genre of Killer 8.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. I love where you're going with this. I think that it has so much legs. You can definitely take this to another level. And I assume, aside from the three main characters that are in there's like a whole slew of like interesting characters in the series, right?
Oh yeah.
That you could probably draw too. So do you see that happening? I mean, maybe in later ways, like, you could do special editions of even more characters from
because
being that I'm funding these out of pocket. Now I did do a crowdfunder for the second series, which was successful. We didn't get all of them, but we got the first couple in the series, and I got those launched out, and it was really successful. So, how well these do will determine if I go further and make any more for the rest of the characters. I think these will do well. Just the problem is, like, this with anything, is getting the right audience in front of the product.
Yeah.
And that's been my biggest obstacle, is finding people who enjoy it, who want to buy it. So I think it's just slow going. I think the more I do it, the more I post about it. Because this has only really been like a year or so when this is officially launched out into the world as Enamel Pen. So I think I just got to have a bigger swath of characters and bigger product line before it really takes off. I'm just trying to see what everybody else is doing. But if these characters are successful, then of course I'll come out later on with an additional couple of characters to complement these guys.
Yeah, you need to when you launch your Kickstarter for Apollo, just sort of like do a little bit of a mini promo tier inside of it that has the Killer 8 stuff, and that way they can kind of like do a dual promotion, and maybe do a crossover where maybe people that didn't know that you were doing that could see it. I think that would be a good opportunity. And you're so right about it. It's like you can have the best comic, the best product, the best anything, and if you don't have a way to like let people know about it, it's just going to sit there. No one's going to see it. And I think that's a struggle with that's the good thing and the bad thing about today's media, is that there's just so much out there. There's so much bombardment on your senses about like what's being done by anybody, by everybody. It's like how do you break through the noise so people can see it? But I had to tell you, Killer 8 stuff though, it's pretty unique, and I'm actually kind of surprised that it only sat on TeePublic for such a long amount of time and didn't really develop a lot of traction. What you need to do is you need to get like some sort of celebrity endorsement, like Rob Liefeld. You need to hit up Rob Liefeld and say, "Hey, Rob Liefeld, check out these Killer 8 things, and I've been following you since forever." It's like, can you just do a little shout out for me? Maybe you need to do a. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so if I get a little bump, that's probably a good idea to reach out to somebody. I honestly, I thought about this, was tweeting Trump back in the day to ask if he would have promoted the product.
You should have. And and it's just one of those things, just to like, I think the whole political discourse. I'm gonna go ahead and I want to break one of my rules here. It's like not to like get political or talk religion. But I think in this context, we're just gonna say, if you do it in the right way, in a tongue-in-cheek way, and it's done not in a malicious way, I think a lot of people would be receptive to things, because it's all about being fun. Now, if it was done in a mean way, obviously that's not going to fly. You know, no one's
Yeah.
on whatever side of the aisle that you're on, it wouldn't fly. But I think that if people just need to be able to like laugh at themselves every once in a while and be able to understand, you know, it's comedy. Because nowadays it's like you can't you can't say anything or do anything without ticking somebody off, and that's sad.
Backlash, definitely. See, if I made what I need to do is make him as a character, as a Kool-Aid character, and then you know throw it his way and say, "Look, Mr. Trump, you know President Trump, this is we could make a character of you here and get you in pop culture forever."
That's true. No, I guess the only thing is though is like now you'd have to talk to actually Kool-Aid. Because if it went to that level, it's sort of like now you have to get Kool-Aid's buy-in for some of this stuff.
See, I'm hoping I'm skirting the line of that where I've got these two character mashups together that are not specific to one or the other, you know, so it's like it's my own character. Mm-hmm. This is my own there's no issues there. So we'll see. Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like the moment that you become successful, then like the knives come out and all of a sudden the copyright police start coming out with you. I guess it's definitely don't do any like Killer Aid Disney characters because I think Disney would definitely come after you. So
there's not going to be any superhero version of these. And there's no Disney characters, no Star Wars, nada.
And I meant that as a joke, but I think it's actually pretty serious because I've heard about how Disney sort of like comes after people when even if it's done in a fan art way where you're just trying to like. It's not like you're making major bucks or anything like that. You're just trying to like show your love and appreciation for a franchise. And of course, sometimes the copyright, the mouse, comes out and like wants to rain on your parade.
There's, I would like to see about getting some official licensing done for some of these characters. It's just, there's, the money aspect of it is just, that's the problem.
But I could definitely see what you were talking about, like doing a Funko Pop type thing. I think that that whole market for kind of like these really neat fusions of IPs and things like that. I think it's kind of a neat thing, and it has a cute, like we were talking about Garbage Pail Kids. Those things were so disgusting, but they were so cute at the same time. And that's what I see about Killer Aid. There's something nostalgic in it, and when you use horror characters or things like that, it's sort of like you never would have thought those two would go together, but sure enough,
exactly.
They do.
And you were saying there's nothing out there like this. I've not seen
anything even close to this type of pins. So it's extremely unique.
And that's the one thing I wanted to make about it was, because I like horror pins, but I'm not knocking anybody. But the stuff that I see out there for the most part is just replicating horror that's already existing and not really doing anything with it. And there's some people that really that kind of do the mashup thing. There's some really good artists out there that will mash Disney cartoon style with horror characters, which is very cool. But I don't see that. Nobody's doing what I'm doing that I found, which is what I wanted to be. I want to be specific. I don't want to be able to copy what I'm doing.
Hey, have you thought about like reaching out to the Trailer Park Boys like creators and like I guess you want to like finish your pin concepts before you actually talk to them so you can show them what you did. You think about maybe like reaching out to them and maybe heck, that could be your golden goose.
I would love to because I think those guys seem like the kind of people that would be very interested in something that would help advance their brand. And honestly, drugs and alcohol is the primary focus of their show, and these characters represent that because they're just big like him. He's going to be a big jug of like orange screwdriver. He's going to be an alcohol-based orange drink. So, that's not the drink he drinks, but
I never even thought about that. It's, if anything, I don't know. I was thinking that if these drinks, I guess it's the whole thing about Kool-Aid, but I was just thinking about like the marketing behind it. It's like you could come up with a different type of drink. It is tied to Killer Aid or Kool-Aid. But I was like saying, gosh, the marketing opportunities where you could just sort of like, what if you were able to come up with your own drink, to go along with it and it was endorsed by it. I just think that would be so brilliant to take it to that another level. And, you could go into like any ABC store and go see packaging that you designed for characters that you came up with. I think that would just be a tremendous like ego boost to have that kind of experience.
I'd love to have that IP that I could just sit back and sell these and retire and be good and work
exactly.
on
Exactly. Just to give you a heads up, we have 3 minutes left. So if you're drawing along with us, just to give everybody a heads up about that. And of course, Kevin, 3 more minutes, and I'm resisting the temptation to look and see what you're drawing. So let's talk about pins.
Okay.
You know, this is going to eventually be a pin art. So does that mean that you have to think of like simplifying your illustration, making it, you know, what is the technology allow you to put like all these like crazy amount of detail, or do you have to like simplify it to a certain point?
When I started getting the pins, when that first guy commissioned me to do the pin, I had no idea how these things worked. I kind of had an idea how they looked, like you could see the individual lines and stuff printed on the pin, which is considered I think it's considered a hard enamel or soft enamel, one of the two. And I didn't really like that. It didn't really translate for my art. So the pin I did for that guy, he got a combination of hard enamel and screen printing. Looking at the screen printing is captures all the detail that you draw, which is how I illustrate. So I found a pin manufacturer out of China that can take my high resolution artwork and then screen print it onto the pin, so it keeps all the details, so I don't lose any of the details in my art. So I can draw these as hard detail line as I want to, and they can replicate that on the pin.
Okay, so you don't have to simplify your ideas at all.
No, not at all. I can go very detailed with them, and they can capture all of that.
Okay, because I was under the impression that you had to like almost like posterize things, you know, make it almost, you know, simplify all your lines. You can only keep them at a certain line width, just because that was a reality of the product, you know.
Yeah,
but
apparently, it is for those hard and soft enamel pins. If I remember this correctly, it's one of the two. Yeah, they're very millimeter size lining. It's basically like an outline, and then you have outlines on the inside, and they fill those spots with color, which is how I've always thought pins were made, and they are. But they also can do. Some people can do screen printing, which is just, I think, a lot better. I think if you want that kind of detail, that's the way to go. But some people like that very thick, liney, you know, enamel type pin that you see a lot of. But I've tried that for these, and it doesn't look right. The art, you lose a lot of the detail, and it just doesn't
for your
look
style.
right.
Yeah, for your particular style. You know, I was just thinking, you know, we have cons for you know, comics, and you know, they have ones for like movies and stuff. I'm just curious. Is there like a enamel pin con? I was just like wondering. You know, there's cons for everything, and I would not be surprised if there's something like that. Maybe we should do some research and see if there's like a specific con where people go to trade these type of things. You know, like they have.
There probably is a pin con. Probably, I wouldn't doubt it.
And you could totally own that. There's like nobody that does what you do.
The horror con is a really good thing for this, and I've not done any cons yet. I think that's what I'm waiting on. Is I need to do some conventions, but the horror stuff, this fits in perfectly. There's a huge a genre, a niche of horror pins out there, and I got to get to a convention.
Oh, the time just expired, so let me stop that. All right, so my pencil is down. I'm going to let you keep on drawing. I'm not going to look at your artwork just yet, because I want to see if anybody in the art show drew along with us. That'll give you a little bit more time. Hold on 1 second. Refresh the art show. Oh, looks like we didn't get anybody that drew along with us with there. And I'm just like saying, how could anybody resist this? This is such a great concept. And I'm checking the comment field, and it doesn't look like anybody drew along with us either. That's okay, because all that matters is I want to see what our guest did. So, all right. So I'm looking at it, and I can already tell you. Can you zoom out? I just want to see this. This is. Look at this. Okay, so this is clearly a work in progress, but
yeah.
I can you like the character that you're basing this off of? Can you pull something down from the internet and open it up in Clip Studio so we can just look at this like side by side, so we can kind of like
sure,
have like a visual reference? I'm gonna let you do that, and And I'm going to go ahead and queue up a few other things that we're going to be showing.
Sure, yeah, I've got I was actually using this for reference yesterday. Let's see here.
Perfect.
So how do I pull this in here?
Just drop it into Clip Studio. Well, you can do that too. So it's this. So wait. These are the creators. I thought it was a cartoon. So this is actually live action. Like these are actors that are that are doing. For some reason, I was thinking it was like a South Park or one of those type things where it was a cartoon. So these are actual live people doing what you just described to me. This adds like another level of just hilarity to that. So,
so I forgot to say about the Bubbles character, which you can tell which one's Bubbles. He throws shopping carts out into the field, and then he takes them because they're on quote unquote public property. He'll take them and refurbish them and sell them back to the stores for profit. That's how he makes his money.
That is so funny. And this made me think about, not that I would be like a guest star on Trailer Park Boys, but I don't know how it is in your neck of the woods, but in Virginia, they just implemented a law, I guess, or something like that, where if you go to Walmart, you go to Target, you go to a grocery store, when you go through self-checkout, or if you go through the checkout line, they tell you how many bags did you use. And I was like, when I first saw this, I was like, I don't know, 5, 6, I was, and then I didn't think anything of it, got my receipt, walked out the door, and then I just looked at my receipt a little later on, and now what they're doing is they're charging you per bag. If you use a plastic bag, they charge you, I think, 5 cents for everything. I was like, okay, so that's how they're sticking it to us now as consumers. But I was just like laughing because he told me about Bubbles and his shopping cart thing. I was like going, what can I do to be a guest star on this show? Now, what I would do is I would probably be that guy that saves all of his previously, because I save some of my grocery bags, and you're gonna laugh at me. Something I picked up from my mom. I don't just like wad them up and put them in another bag and then use them when I need them. Actually, I maybe it's OCD in me. I actually fold them. So I have like a drawer full of folded grocery bags. But I was gonna say what I could do to be like on the Trailer Park Boys show is that I would be the character that goes in front of Target or Walmart and I say, hey, they charge you 5 cents. I'll charge you 3 cents. 3 cents.
That is a story arc in the show. That's exactly would fit in perfectly because.
And then go ahead, keep on. What were you gonna say?
Because there's an episode of these guys where Ricky's the one in the blue shirt there, and then Julian's the back, of course. They go into a grocery store carrying these presents, like these birthday presents, and they've got Bubbles in the car, and he's high as a kite. He's smoking hash, and he's on the walkie-talkie. And he's turned the radio on, and they've got this. It's in the same bandwidth. Somehow they've got the same bandwidth. And Ricky and the PA system, and he is like jibber jabbering. But Ricky and Julian are back here shoving meat in these birthday present boxes. And of course the clerks come around and they're like, "Oh, you can't look in these. These are birthday presents. You can't look at these. We brought these in ourselves." So Bubbles is like, "Hey Ricky, how's it going in there with the meat stealing project?" And he's speaking over the whole
broadcast on the PA system.
Yeah.
It's like doing pretty good 10-4.
He's like, well, they use other language primarily, but so they run out with these boxes full of this meat, and they're like, "This is greasy. We're selling stolen meat from the grocery store at the back of our car." Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh! So I tell you, I'll have to check that out. Just because, I mean, like I said, it's the hilarity that you've alluded to. I mean, it's something that I feel like I'm just missing out if I haven't experienced Trailer Park Boys. But anyway, that it's like I'm gonna forever equate that with your fantastic art. I can't look at a Killer Aid drawing now without thinking of Trailer Park Boys. But let me share my artwork, and then we're gonna continue on with the show. So
it looks like Victor also threw a piece in the art show.
Oh, he did. Great. Yep. Let me go to art show. Let's show his first. Oh, he did, and he picked the perfect character. All right, let me pull this up. So glad that Victor did this. All right, so let me share this. Prepare to be amazed.
I'm excited because you can do anything you want to with it, and there's no telling.
So he
Okay.
chose Mysterio, and Mysterio, he already has like a fishbowl head, so it makes
Perfect.
complete sense to do that.
Yes.
So I'm gonna
I like
have to
that.
put you and Victor together because I don't want there to be any type of copyright infringement if you decide to use Mysterio as one of your characters for that. But I think it's brilliant. Victor, thank you so much for doing your interpretation of Mysterio as a killer aid.
That's very well done. I would not have thought of that, but that makes perfect sense.
It does, and he even has the ice cubes in there. Just
Perfect.
yeah, brilliant. so let me share mine real quick. And where is it? Okay, here we go. So I kind of went the easy route. I did Killer Aid Wolverine. Let me see if I can
Is that a Canadian IPA?
There you go, Canadian IPA. Yeah, it's I couldn't think. I had a little bit of a brain freeze. I couldn't get as creative with Mysterio, but I just gave him his trademark mask. I think I wonder if when the MCU introduces Wolverine into the MCU, if they're going to actually use the iconic mask because Hugh Jackman never donned that iconic mask. But aside from that and those the '80s Wolverine always had those boots that actually had the flared foot, which was completely if you think about it, it's kind of dorky. But you know what?
It is though.
It's
it is.
We still drew it, and then I still loved it. But anyway, so I thought that was fun. I think that. You like the what?
Oh yeah.
You like it? Yeah. Oh, so unfortunately, I don't have the rights to this. So if you want to use it, I'm going to give you permission. Go for it. Go. I think that. I think that the cigar. This is another thing that's missing is that apparently Logan can't smoke cigars anymore, which I think is really. If you recall, there's never been a scene I think since the '90s, I think during the Wolverine miniseries or the Wolverine series and Patch. And I think '90s era Wolverine. After that, it's he can't smoke. And I was like, he has a healing factor. He doesn't have to worry about that type of stuff. But apparently, it's a bad idea. So one of the weird things that crazy comics. There's no comics code, but that's just one of those things that they decide not to put in comics anymore.
And I'll be honest with you, that Wolverine outside of the '80s, that was the best Wolverine ever. The later one, I couldn't care less. He was basically declawed at that point, and I had no interest for him. It was the '80s, Mark Silverstreet, Jim Lee, Chris Claremont. That was the pinnacle of Wolverine X-Men, in my opinion.
Right. I think the line kind of I didn't like it at first, but I kind of dug it. Was his claws when they became because I was the guy that I remember being a kid and buying the official handbook to the Marvel Universe. And I remember they would show Wolverine's skeleton and the claws were completely just adamantium. They weren't bone. Yeah. And I remember when they did that whole storyline where they removed the adamantium from his body and they revealed that his clothes were bone. At first, I didn't like it. I thought that was I thought it was dumb. But when you think about it, I guess that'd be, that's his mutation. Aside from his healing factor, having actual claws that are in his forearms, it kind of made sense.
I was the same way. I didn't like it at first, and then I turned on to. I was like, that's a new aspect of the character we weren't aware of. It's like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
But it's useless. It's useless to have bones claws because you know how bad a broken bone feels. And how easy you could break a bone like that. I was like, oh, every time I saw that, I cringed when he would attack with somebody. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's gotta hurt so bad.
Well, I mean, when I remember when they did the X-Men movie, when Fox did it, and they made it so it used to be they would come out of the top of his hand, and then they made it now come out, between his fingers. And of course, there was a practical effect thing because I think Hugh Jackman was saying that it was easier to they made the artificial, the onset claws when they were extended, he could grip it in his hand and it would come out here versus coming out from the top of his hand. But I was like, I don't know, after decades of Wolverine always having it coming out of the top of his hand and actually having those enclosures that would it would pop out from, it just made it was just years of me drawing it that way. Especially, I was a big fan of Art Adams. I think Rob Liefeld for you, Art Adams. That was who the guy that got me into like wanting to draw that. But yeah,
Art Adams was one of my favorite artists. I love him to death. I love his artwork. Oh my gosh, it's so.
And
crazy.
He's still totally relevant today. His stuff is. He doesn't do much sequentials. He just does covers every once in a while. But the stuff that he does, it's just gotten even more detailed. I mean, the guy will draw like a snake, and he'll draw like every scale on the snake.
Which is why he doesn't do interiors.
I know. And I heard some crazy things. It's like he did like some project, and I think he put it up for auction. I think immediately it was like 100,000. Somebody just said, it was an oversized piece, but the guy can command that because he's just that good, and his stuff is just rare. You don't see too much of it. All right, so thank you to everybody that did live drawing with us. I'm going to open up that PDF that we showed earlier because you sent me so much stuff that I would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit more about it. And this will be nice for us to like show because it'll segue into like what you're doing today and and what you're going to be doing in the future. This is one thing that I wanted to talk about was gallery. You had a little gallery, and it's a pretty good size. But if you look at the amount of work that's you can see it in a little here in the background. I'm going to scroll through some of this. Hey, there's that handsome man right there. And we see this presentation here, and we look at this. It looks so well done. It's so professional, and it just shows the variety of artwork that you've done. And I use this for the promotional banners, or for one of the promotional banners for your appearance today. And we have everything from like some penciled artwork. We have everything from inked artwork, and what is it here? I like this. These are your prints. And I made a joke with you yesterday. It's like we're so used to going to cons, and you have artists that are crammed, on table to table, and then the only way that you can show all of your artwork that you want to sell is that you have to have these huge PVC pipe towers with all of your artwork, on there. But it was nice to see your artwork in a gallery setting. And you want to talk a little bit about this? Because I think you said it was your friend that helped you out with this. I just think this is a really nice presentation.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Louis Matheny, he owns Harper's Rare Books in collectibles here in town. And I approached him after he did a gallery for a friend of mine last summer. And he was super excited. He saw my stuff, and he's like, I want to, this is great. We'll throw you a gallery. I'll organize it. I'll set it up. You just bring me the artwork. We'll go through it, and I'll set up the displays for you. And he had his whole team had spent several weeks on this, working on it. And I come in and saw it, and I was blown away because he owns this soundstage, and this soundstage is perfect. It's very brick, very wood. It's got a great feel to it. And he did a magnificent job of setting this artwork up, and I was so appreciative of what he did for me. And yeah, he got this gallery rolling, and I walked in. Tons of people came in, checked it out, had a really good time. Sold a lot of pins, sold some artwork, and I was very appreciative of what he did for me, and I couldn't never imagine that would ever happen. So everything happened is because of him, and I appreciate so much what he did for me.
Yeah, I have to say that you've arrived, man. I mean, when you can have your own gallery show.
Yeah, you don't realize how much you got until. Yeah. He saw my stuff. He goes, "You've got too much stuff." He goes, "I got a whole other pile of stuff that we could have went through." And he's like, "Okay, we've got. Let me just narrow this down to what we can put on the keep a theme going because you've got so much stuff." And I had no idea. I didn't realize.
Yeah, and I was gonna say for somebody that took a gap, years in terms of like between when they started drawing and when they started getting back into it, it's amazing. I mean, you put out a lot of artwork, and to see it in this format, kudos to you. I just noticed the Christmas trees in the background. It's like this was a great Christmas present. People can go enjoy Kevin's artwork here and go check it out at a gallery. But yeah, this is a great environment. I hope that your friend does more, shows. And heck, you had so much artwork, so maybe you can do a part 2. Anything that wasn't shown that first go around, show it again.
Yeah.
Especially when Apollo drops later on this year. Maybe for Christmas in 2022, we might see another gallery presentation. But another thing, I didn't go through all the things that you provided to me in terms of prints. Uh, I had to, I'm glad that you presented this. I'm a big fan of the Predator Alien franchise, so anything that's Predator related, got to show that. And then of course, your horror stuff. I use this for the Instagram banner that you did. It's like here's another no brainer. It's like why don't they do a Predator versus Jason? I mean, Jason went to outer space, right? I mean, it's like why couldn't they do it?
He could have come back with an alien on the board, alien shell or whatever, alien egg on there. But I mean, this mashup makes sense to me. I mean, it's a perfect setting. Summertime, it's hot. You got got a camp. You got people there to fight. You get a predator comes down. He finds these people. And he finds the perfect creature to fight against which is Jason. So
yes,
that makes sense.
It does. And you just made the most awesome case. I'm just glad you. I think I think I don't know who owns the Predator. I know Aliens is owned by Marvel. I don't know who.
I think Fox owns Predator. I think maybe. I
just know that.
Wrong about that.
Yeah, we need to write to them. I am hyped to see that Hulu series where they're gonna have like the Predators like during colonial Native American time. I think that's. I thought at first when I read about it, I wasn't too excited about it, but the more I see about it, I'm just praying that it's not like every Predator alien movie that's come out. It's like you get so hyped, you think it's a great premise, and then you go watch it, and it's like not what you think it's going to be. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But you also did this, The Last Ronin. I mean, you got your finger on the pulse of what's hot, in terms of really cool things. Really enjoyed this. Did you color this too, or
no? I didn't color this. The color I can't even speak. This actually I commissioned the color out because I'm not a colorist. I don't try to dabble in the colors. I'm not very good at it. But I felt like he captured the gritty essence of like this like Ronin, ultra modern, Blade Runner type color scheme. I love it. I love how he did it. Turned out.
Yeah, I was impressed with the color, but it's sort of like. The pencils have to be there first. The inks have to be there first. And like always, I'm just amazed in how it's very difficult to do like rain effects. So you did that really cool thing. And now that you mentioned it was like I guess maybe that was the art direction you gave to him. It's like, hey, I want it to be like The Last Ronin and Blade Runner. That's the color palette that I want. And he totally knocked it out of the park. Totally complimented your artwork. I'm using totally a lot just because it's totally Ninja Turtles. But I have to say I have a new appreciation for horror. I've had had Len Danovich who did a lot of like horror artwork on my show, and having you on here, it's like I feel like I need to like read more into that because you guys do such a great homage to like these horror comics. It's just amazing. Creepshow. I guess you love Creepshow with a Crypt Keeper. Did you love that in the 80s?
I did enjoy it. I wasn't a super fan of it, but I love the aspect of it. I love Creepshow. I like the title. I like the name of it. But this actually was I got contacted by a guy. He goes by the tag Blake Tunes. He's out of the UK, and he was putting a Creepshow anthology together. This was a second anthology he did. So he saw my stuff, reached out to me, and he wanted me to do a piece for one of the episodes. And I picked the Night of the Paw and did this illustration. So it actually got printed in this book here, the Creep Zine anthology series.
Let me make you maximize you so you can show that. Oh, wow! It's like a magazine size. Is this like a? Yeah. Oh, this is. It's an anthology, serious. Like you said, right?
Yeah. So he broke it down and did a bunch of the episodes, and he had a bunch of artists do it. And I did the Night of the Paw, which actually was it's a article version in this book. So the actress who played in that episode that you're right here, Hannah Barefoot on Instagram, she saw that and was like, "This is great, I love it," and they did a whole article about her in the book. So that was the piece that was included with it.
And you say that you don't do good likenesses. I haven't seen the actress, but for her to say that she loved it, she must have felt like it looked like her. So
well, I didn't know it was her. I didn't even see her. This is my wife posed for this. The way this figure, cool? My wife posed for it, so I didn't realize it actually kind of looks like Hannah Barefoot in a way. But I didn't plan that.
So this is another example of what we call happy accidents or happy coincidences. How about that?
Or just plain old dumb luck.
Yes. So, hey, that's the kind of look that I want. I want that.
So,
but yeah,
if you want to
that's a
see
great.
that's her.
Oh, let me maximize you there. Yeah. So gosh, yeah, she looks like your wife then, I guess, right?
There's some semblance
uh-huh.
there, yeah. So
Yeah.
they did the article
Yeah.
for her, and then I think it's
Very,
close enough
very
for
cool.
government work, you know.
Exactly. I do a lot of work for the government too, so I totally get your little reference there. So very cool. Yeah, so here we go. We have to keep on going down here. So Stooges of the Living Dead. And it's so funny that you mentioned, that with the Trailer Park Boys, about how that being kind of like a modern take on the Three Stooges. So
Definitely.
you want to talk about this?
Yeah, this was a commission. A buddy of my mother reached out to me and wanted a commission of the Three Stooges, and I said, well, I don't do portraits. I don't want you to, I can't commit to that because I can't do portraits. And I said, if I can do it in my own style, I can do it. And he goes, knock out of the park. Do whatever you want to. It's your thing. So I was thinking, okay, let me come up with a mashup idea, because I was coming off the Predator Jason thing. I was thinking, what if the Three Stooges were in the freaking zombie apocalypse? Who is more inept to be in the zombie apocalypse than Three Stooges?
Hey, no more inept than that last was it Predators movie? Oh, that was such a mess. Your Three Stooges pitch would probably make more sense than that mess of a movie. That was, but I have to say, it's so funny to see this, and you did knock it out of the park. And I remember looking at this, and this goes to show also your aside from this showcasing your sense of humor, I like the show's off your technical skills too, because it's the alley, and with all the you drew all these bricks. You almost got like Art Adams level here, in terms of like of all these little details you put into it. It's hard to pull off this, and it's done in a comic style, but the perspective is correct, and just seeing Larry, Moe, and Curly there, it's just amazing, just to see it that done really well. And then we have this. You want to talk about this? I mean, this shows just so much power. So, what was this for?
No, this was this was a passion project. It was just I was thinking about which characters I could put together, because I've been trying to expand out in drawing complete pictures with multiple characters, because like I was saying, for the longest time it was single characters, very boring compositions, and but my backgrounds were very weak. I was very weak in that area, so it was really just a practice piece to
I was like, you're talking about your backgrounds were weak. I think you totally nipped that in the bud. I think you've conquered that. And this is because I almost have to say though, to me it's a very serious piece, but I couldn't help but I almost thought this could be like Fabio playing Thor, and he had his hair waving, and he's almost like tickling him under the cheek.
Yeah, no.
But then you see the Hulk, and he's totally raging out, and it was like, it made me remember that scene from Ragnarok. It's like, Hulk, raging fire, Thor, smoldering, ember. Type things. He goes, no, it's more of a fire. No, smoldering ember. It's like, so. I gotta say,
it was probably a reference from the Ragnarok movie too, when they fought. I was trying to put two characters who I thought would be physically matched together pretty well, and the idea of him grabbing his throat was there. I think the application was a little bit off. I kind of can see.
Yeah,
he's kind of like reaching behind him like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I'm not being critical. I think it's an excellently composed thing, but I almost think it's like we've gone through this whole thing where you're interjecting Kevin humor into things, and so sometimes I think that even in your serious pieces, if there's a little bit of Kevin humor, that you're kind of like putting in there as well. But yeah, it's just phenomenal artwork. I think we showed some of these, but I want to revisit. Here's the stuff that you did for Tragedy, and this was going to come out as one of the exclusive covers, I think, for Tragedy issue 4 that's coming out later on this fall.
Yeah, this is the most recent piece I've done for Philip. We could go on forever for Philip. He's been such a great guy, and he's given me so many opportunities, and I loved working for him. He's still a real good friend of mine, and he asked me to do another cover, because I've already done one cover for his book, which was very successful for the variant, and I said, well, give me a synopsis of what the story is about. And he did. And I was thinking, I thought back, to the Craven, to that Spider-Man Craven cover back in the day of him coming out of the grave and grabbing, Spider-Man. And that's kind of where I went with it. I was like, she's a character named Tragedy. You got to have you've got a good and bad. You've got ups and downs, but you've got to struggle this character. And this is what I was trying to portray, is her struggle as who she is versus all the adversaries she's went against and all the stuff that she has to live with as a character, kind of like, drowning her. She's drowning in her own history and her own past and stuff. And that's kind of where I went with this character. He loved it. He saw that. He was like, this is great. I love this. This is what I couldn't even think of this. Symbolism is perfect. So I was like, okay, I'm going to finish it up, because I first roughed it out and, I wasn't going to stick with it, but he likes it. And I was like, I've got to take us to completion. Yeah,
I have to say, I think we had a little bit of a chat conversation about this when I saw it. And I mentioned the Craven reference from the 80s. And you were like going, I think you said something. Was it something like, I won't confirm or deny the influence or the inspiration, but I'm going to say it's nothing. It's not like you took it verbatim. It's like an homage, homage to that. And, who hasn't done, it's a popular kind of like motif or theme that you could do for characters, but the way that you pulled it off in the context of Tragedy, brilliant. I think that, your execution of it, and no one's ever going to tell you that you can't draw skulls in anatomy class, because, you definitely had your practice, with that. But
thank goodness for Pinterest.
Hey, well, I wish, like when we were drawing back in the day, it's like it was hard to come up with references and stuff like that. But now we have the internet.
Oh gosh,
so it's just
it's
just so cool. And this was the other Tragedy cover. And this is how I got to know you, or at least how I got to know of the name Kevin Steward, was doing the cover contest for issue number 1 for Tragedy. And I remember seeing this, and now 2 years later, I get to put a face with the name, just to see who the master was that came up with this particular illustration. So very, very, very cool. And here's the Apollo black and whites. I think we really went through. There was a good story about this particular one.
Yes.
You want to talk about this?
Yes, and if John's listening, I still got your piece. I'm finishing it up. It's been several months, and I apologize. That's on me. But when Philip did a live art showing back in February, I think it was, and I had put this piece up as one of the pieces I wanted to sell. But before the piece was Batman and Joker, I think Killer Croc and Catwoman. And it was like him busting through this glass, and it was a bunch of black. Well, John bought that. He's like, I like that. I'll take that. And I was looking at it. I was like, I don't feel like this piece is done. I'm not happy with it. And I don't feel like he should, he would be happy with it, but he likes it. And I reached out to him and said, hey, John, let me work on this piece more. I feel like there's something else I can do with it. I want to blow it out and really fill it up. So he's like, yeah, take your time, do what you want to do. And I went back and thought, okay, now I want to do a rogues gallery of characters for Batman, and I want to kind of make it look like they're a shattered world for him, like the glass, and all these characters are part of his world, and his world is falling apart type thing, and behind that glass is all these villains. So I got to work and was like, okay, I'm gonna throw as many characters I can think of in this background for this piece, and this is what I came up with.
Yeah, it's I was impressed with the first one, and you know what? I think I closed. I think I threw. I was editing the PDF that I showed you yesterday, and I replaced. I don't know why I replaced the other one, but I thought the other one was strong. But this is the perfectionist that Kevin is. Came up and delivered something that was even. The other one was I liked the other one. This one is another level. I think it's in the eye of the beholder to figure out if one is better than the other. But I think they're both phenomenal. I'm gonna pop up a couple comments. I talked to you how Len was a guest on my show a few weeks ago. He commented in here, fantastic piece, one of my favorite for this book. I think we were showing your Tragedy pieces, so he was really. I think he was referring to that, and followed up with another comment. He said, and the coloring to add to it. So I agree. I don't have the color, but when the campaign launches, you'll be able to see the colored version of that Tragedy piece. And I think you did two covers, right?
This will be the second cover for it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe you did like a two cover or two art pieces for issue number 4. Am I Am I wrong? I'm not sure. Maybe I
No, that wasn't me.
misheard that. Okay. All right. Well, I was gonna say you just must be that good that you know not only did you do like that phenomenal piece of like her in the grave there with all those skeletons, but I thought you did another one. I guess I must have misread that. This is another thing that I thought was another. You are just a. I'm going to call you a fusion machine, an IP fusion machine, and it makes complete sense. I was like talking to you yesterday. Why wouldn't there be a Doctor Doom and the Hellraisers, get together? I'm almost like afraid to really talk this one up because maybe somebody might steal your idea. We don't want people to steal your idea, but you came up with this idea to put Doctor Doom with the Hellraisers, and it makes sense. You want to talk about that, like why you came up with this fusion?
It goes back to the same thing: horror, comics, pop culture. Mainly, I start with the horror character. I'm thinking, I love Pinhead. The movies are garbage. The concept is great. The concept is extremely unique, and I love the IP. Pinhead is one of my favorite horror characters outside of Michael Myers. And
yes,
I've read a couple, or not a couple. I've read one of Clive Barker's books, the Scarlet Letter. I think it's not Scarlet. It might be something Scarlet. It's been a while since I read it, but it kind of goes. It talks about this character, this John Constantine type of character who goes into hell and going after the Hell Priest, which he's never labeled as Pinhead, but. Anyways, the concept of that is really cool, and I like it. And I was thinking, once again, what can I mash this up with that would seem interesting? And Doctor Doom is one of those characters that would who's strong enough and egotistical enough to take whatever he can get and use it for his own power. And I said, Doom would be the one to get the laminate configuration and try to control the Hell Priest and not realize what he's getting into.
Yeah,
and bringing hell onto Earth and trying to control the Cenobites would be his downfall in regards to what he's trying to do. And that's what it was. I was like, this would be a cool mashup. How can I make this interesting?
And it's so funny that I knew this was going to happen. We're going to talk about it. We're going to share it, and someone's going to steal it. And look what happened. We got Len chiming in here saying, "Beautiful fusion cover. I am stealing it, my friend." So I guess Len is gonna do something. I think he had a little bit of a follow comment here. He said something. I agree with everything you said with movies in the book, and I love to do my magic. Our element of it, I will give you 100% credit when I steal this idea. Okay, so
if you steal it, give me some money.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Kevin's like, I don't need the credit. Just make sure you give me the money. It's like give me equal rights in terms of like when it gets sold in terms of the idea.
I'll take payment and royalties.
Yeah, there you go. But I really thought this was brilliant, and I kept on calling Hellraisers. It's actually the Cenobites. And I kept I for some reason until you mentioned it, it's like I've been calling it the wrong thing the whole time. But yeah, Pinhead is a great character, and it's so cool to see this mashup. And I think it makes complete sense because they showed Doctor Doom in a lot of stories of him being like this big technology genius, but he does dabble in the supernatural, and it would make complete sense that if he would try and harness the power of that other realm. And I was just like thinking about he has already this disfigured face, and I was like thinking about all these chains coming at him from every angle. And I'm like wondering, he would have to come up with like this armor that the chains would not, penetrate or something like that. But
it'd be a good fight. It'd be a real good fight.
It would be a good fight. And I can see it in my head thanks to you. You planted those seeds in there. It's another great fusion. Just to tie off, to sort of like talk about your contributions to other indie creations. This is something that I also did with Grok Comics that you did some fan art for Bill Ropp's IP, and it was just neat to see what you did for him. And I think he did this. He colored it up for you. This goes to show it's like your stuff is so clean, has so much energy in it. I think that colorists it's easy for them to kind of like to hone in on it. And be able to add the extra. I'm going to say it's like your stuff is good. And when I said extra, it's like, I don't know if that's like the common word now, adding extra on top of it. It takes it to like that another level. You see this, we go to this. It's amazing work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just so incredible. So you're definitely doing a lot of stuff, not only with your own work, which is Apollo, and those other IPs that I'm hoping will see the light of day again. Maybe see an issue 2, or maybe be able to be done digitally. They're not going to be reprinted, particularly the man in the kitty cat coat. I think that's just still a name that just has been burned in my brain. I don't know. I'm going to ever forget that. But yeah. Okay. So we've shown all this stuff. I'm going to put this in the background, and I could say that I could easily talk to you for another couple hours at least, but we're going to try and keep this show on, at least on track a little bit. So we've shown a lot of the stuff that you're doing, and we talked about stuff that you're doing in the present, which is like Apollo, and there's another project. I think I should have I spoke too soon. You're actually doing something with one of a friend of Philip Russert's,
Yep.
which has a special meaning to Philip. And I know the artistic team that was originally going to do it, kind of I don't even know the story. I just know that it just didn't happen. And they had to back out, or things just didn't work out. But you rose to the challenge. I mean, this is another story about how, sure, I'm going to a con, and there's going to be a 16-page comic that has people that are in the con that need to be featured in the book. Yeah, Kevin, can you do it? Sure, I can do it. I mean, this is another example of Kevin just showing tremendous heart, being able to do this pro bono, and to help make a fellow creator's dream come true. So let me pull up that PDF one more time, and I believe it's this. Is it King Alma? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
Okay. We only have one page here to show, but there's a great story behind this. So let me put the mic back in your hand, and you talk about this.
Okay. So this is actually pretty recent, a couple months ago. Yeah, Philip reached out to me, and he was asking me, he's like, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. He goes, I've already had a couple people who wanted to jump on it, and they fell through. And this guy has been let down over and over and over on this project, and he's got some special needs. He's a high functioning autistic person who's got this story, and he goes, would you be interested in drawing it? And I was like, so yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm not working on anything real, specific. I'm fine. He goes, it's not in a rush. You can work on it, take your time. And I was thinking, yeah, this will be good. This will be a good opportunity for me to get another book out. It's a 16-issue or 16-page book. Work on some stuff. I like the idea of what he came out with. He's got this very King Arthur-esque. It's King Alma, but it's it's medieval. It's fantasy, supernatural, D&D, which is right up my alley. I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons, Hero Quest, and I love fantasy realm stuff. So he sent me the script. I took it. It's a well wrote story. It's got a lot of angles to it. It's very thick and meaty. So I broke it down, started scripting out, and he's like, do what you want to with it. This is your process, and do what you want to with it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna change some things, but I'm not gonna change the story. I want to try to make it. I want to build a story into the story with the environments and such. And this can kind of answer to Lynn's question. He's asking me about my process, how I do this. I'm 100% digital. I got off of traditional a long time ago. I'm 100% digital, and I feel like that is giving me the ability to level up faster as an artist because I can do things quicker. It's just more flexibility. And I feel like it's actually taken away from my traditional ability to draw some aspects because
whatever
hand inking is so much more difficult for me now than it is digitally. But so you gave me the story. I read over some pages of it and kind of get an idea of it. And I started building this world around this character. And I sent him the first page, and the guy flipped when he saw the page because up to this point, he's not seen anything. He's had I think it's been a year or so of someone working on this project, and he's never seen a physical page done. So I sent Philip this page, and he said the guy flipped the switch, man. He was super excited about it. So this is a practice thing for me to try to expand out into. This is a genre I've never done. I've never done human type stuff. It's always been superheroes or horror. So I've never drawn horses before, so you can tell I've never drawn horses. So these creatures,
what? I think you did it great. Do you think you did a great job?
I think it's good. It's good enough as I can do it right now, and at least it looks like a horse. That's at least I can say that. But
Yeah.
it's hopefully we'll see it. We'll get it finished, and he'll be excited about it, and it'll actually be a good story. I do these things. I take these projects on sometimes, and like I said, I don't think about it. I just do it, and it is partly for him, and I don't looking for any kind of credit for it. I just was going to take this story and work out for it. And hopefully he'll get, something out of it that he really likes. And if it does anything for him, good. I'm glad.
I think it goes to show. I mean, we've already pretty much established your technical skills here in terms of you being able to execute everything from zombies to to sci-fi to like now this fantasy. But it also this you doing this particular project. This also shows your heart as a creator to take on this project, and to know that this particular creator has his own challenges, and being autistic. I think this is part of his things that he wanted to be able to show that to other people that may be on the spectrum, that they can be creators too, and for you to be the advocate, the person that's going to represent, and the person that's going to realize this vision, that's tremendous. I have to say that when I heard that you were going to take this on, Philip told me about it. I was like, this guy must be, there must be more to him than meets the eye. I'd only known about you through your art. I hadn't interviewed you until today. I've only got to know you today, and it just that just speaks so well of your character. And like I said, technically, you got all the boxes checked already in terms of being a phenomenal talent and artist, and be able to. But this shows heart, this shows compassion, and it shows you being able to take something on to help another creator who is a writer to make their vision a reality. So I have to commend you on that. That's just very, very, very well spoken of you. I think that's just awesome that you've done that. But and I don't want to get like too emotional and gushy about it. But let's talk about the future. Let's talk about Kevin. Where do you see yourself? In like 10 years. We talked about your. You took that time off. Not that gap year, like when you said, I think it was like in high school, and then you came back to it, but then you've like sort of made up for it. You've pretty much thrown yourself into like so many different projects, and we've seen so many just great artwork, pages, stuff that you've done for other creators, and now you have your own Apollo that's going to be dropping in the future. But besides that, where do you see yourself like in 10 years? Like, what is your end game? You write end games for your characters. Is there like this ultimate goal? Is there like this ultimate goal that you have for yourself? I mean, yeah.
Hopefully my end game is not anywhere near the kind of story that's in my comic books, because it's not going to be very good. But if the way gas prices are, I'll probably be stripping at the dollar store here in 3 years. The way things are going.
Okay. On a serious note, yeah.
Seriously, yeah. On a serious note, hopefully, the way I see it is I'll be publishing my own artwork and doing my own thing and just selling my art to people. That's where I want to be at. I mean, I don't have any desire to work for Marvel. I have no desire to work for any comic publishing house. I don't like their characters. I want to draw and create my own world and have my own characters, and that's where I want to be. And I think this is the perfect time for it. The way indie books are going, the fact that I'm on your show right now proves that indie comics is a serious contender in the industry. That people want new stories and they want stuff that's interesting, and they're tired of the same old garbage that's coming out of corporate everywhere. Everywhere is corporate. So that's where I want to be at. I want someone who wants to read my stories, just like Philip, just like Tragedy, everything else. Great comics. They're out there revitalizing, bringing the comic industry out of the ashes as the phoenix and making stories that people want to read. And that's where I want to be at. So hopefully it gets that way.
Well, keep on doing. I think it's like what we said earlier. It's like you're in the game, and the fact that you're doing something, you're producing things. You're already a winner in that respect, because it's not like like I said, you're not sitting on your hands. You're not like on a soapbox proselytizing about the industry and how you wish it could be. You're actually making things happen. You're actually doing things. And, you know, we got some comments here. I'd be remiss to neglect these. I mean, like this, you got Kevin, your art is great. And Sarah is actually hails from Egypt. So like I said, we have an international we have an international audience here that's appreciating, you know, what you're doing. And we have Saeed. This is great. And he can't get he doesn't have to like mince words and getting much to say. This is great. And Saeed comes from the Middle East. I want to say it was like Dubai. I don't remember exactly what country he hails from, but yeah, just a lot of people. You know, he says he's looking for this, and he says also that this is what he wants too. He's an aspiring author, and you know he wants to bring that indie comic, you know, passion to his country. And you know, I'm so happy that he can be on the show here. And you know, I'm so happy to have you on the show, but we're not like this big force, you know, out there. But the indie community is not like super large, and I think that by you being on the show, it's an honor. And if we can tell your story, that's what it's all about. And you know, to get you those that get eyes on your stuff, because everybody needs a little killer Abe in their life, right? So
it's humanly refreshing, I tell you.
Exactly. All right, so before we have one last question before we wind it up and go into the Oscar speech part of the show, and that comes from Len here. He says, "How do you feel about doing conventions, and how often do you do them? Which ones are your favorite?" So, what is your answer to that?
Well, I'll be honest with you. The last convention I went to was 2015, and I haven't been to a convention since. To be honest with you, there's many reasons for that, but the biggest reason is when I did go to conventions, I did not have enough stuff to go with. Of course, I had prints and everything else, but I only had like one or two books, and they were small in that regards. So I felt like I wasn't bringing enough to the convention scene to make it worth my while, you know, make it worth financially to go. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I've not done any convention since then. I plan to do some as soon as I have more of the Killer 8 stuff done, as soon as I have the Apollo book done, and some more things that I can bring to people to get them interested in what I'm doing. Because everything I've done before, I don't have. I don't have the Kitty Code. I don't have the Tricon. I don't have the Corey book. I don't have access to this. So I don't have anything. Yeah. So I'm pretty much just going bare table. I've got everything set up. I've got my banners and everything else ready to go. I just need more product to go with. And once I do that, I kind of hit the local scene. I'm in Tennessee, so I hit like the Louisville. I hit the Dragon Con, Hero Con, stuff like that. That's where I normally go. Though I've not been to Dragon Con yet. I need to. I'm usually in the Tennessee, Kentucky area when I do conventions. So there's a huge scene in Tennessee for conventions. Nashville, Knoxville, Louisville, Chattanooga, tons going on. So that's kind of where I want to be at. But I've got to have more stuff to go with.
Yeah, and I understand too, because like you do have a lot of stuff. We showed your gallery presentation, but I was going to say is that you probably, I think that you're at this level now where, because there's a lot of phenomenal fan art that you've done, but I think that it's kind of like you're at this level now where you need to be just a creator, and you don't need to really rely on showing your fan art stuff. I mean, your fan art stuff is phenomenal, but your independent creations, Apollo, that's awesome. That's beyond phenomenal. So it's one of those things. Is like it's time to like showcase your IPs, your OCs, and show the technical and artistic prowess that you have in that arena, in that respect. Because that's where it's at right now. The industry, the community, or the public is hungry for that kind of product. Mainstream stuff is not cutting it anymore, and I think that indie creators are going to definitely make their mark now. So, all right, so yeah, this is where I get kind of sad now, because this is where we're going to move to the latter part of the show, which is the Oscar speech. And I was joking with you yesterday. It's like the Oscar speech. We named this segment because that, and it was all before the whole Will Smith thing. So you don't have to worry about me reaching across the screen and smacking you, or you doing the same thing to me. Hopefully we're all on a positive vibe here. I know that I am. So I'm going to hand the mic back to you, and I'm going to go full screen on here. And I would love for you just to any of your final thoughts, any thank yous. You just, this is your chance to do what you want. The mic is in your hands. So let's hear your Oscar speech.
Oh, well, I mean, I have to give thanks to everybody in my life, good or bad end results, who got me into doing comics. That I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't have the confidence to do what I'm doing right now if it weren't for them and the opportunities that I had. And as things have progressed, I've learned from mistakes that I've made, and hopefully going forward, I can change those outcomes, and more of the people that I meet, like Philip and everything, and opportunities he's given me to make better art. I can't be more appreciative of that. And everybody that I've met in this scene has been so good. I just hope I'm still around years from now with my own product, and people will know my name and want to buy the books that I make. And I can do this for the rest of my life up until my last, days, or my inability to do it. So thank to everybody who's been in my life, art wise and comic wise. It's been great.
Well, I love your Oscar speech. Got to keep it nice and compact and just to the point. And I love what you said too. It's like good or bad, the people in your life that led you to the point. I think that's led you to where you are right now, because that's a very positive way to look at it. Because, sometimes people look back and think like, oh, this person traumatized me and caused me to go in this direction. Yes, you can kind of look at it that way too. But I think that way you're looking at it is like, hey, they may have done that to you, but it led you to the person you are today, in the sense of you're a better person because of it. Maybe you'll be more wary of that, or maybe that turning point in your life made you make better decisions in the future. I think that just hearing what you said, it's a level of humility and just positivity that I think is very refreshing to hear. So kudos to you. I think that's awesome. So I want to, like what we do with all of our shows, I like to talk about a particular charity group that we partner with, but we're not financially tied to in any shape, way, or form. And that is Golden Fight. And you can find them here at goldenfight.org. Now, who is goldenfight.org? They are an organization that I like to say is big enough and small enough at the same time. Big enough in this, or small enough in the sense that they are not nationwide. They have a very focused geographic area that they operate within, and that's the Mid-Atlantic region, my neck of the woods. And how they are big, how they are huge, is they raise money for families who have children that are going through really difficult diseases like cancer. Because when parents are focusing on the healing of their child, inevitably they will experience some financial difficulties, and Golden Fight comes to the rescue. And I thought that like 97% of that money that they raise would go to the families, and like they have to use like 1 or 2% to like deal with some of the administrative things that all charities have to deal with. But I was wrong. 100% of the money that they raise goes to the families. That's huge. So everything they do is completely volunteer, and it was an honor to know them because the leadership at Comics Cast is Joe Tolliver. He's friends with the leadership at Golden Fight. And if you would like to check them out, and if you have it within your means to contribute to a charity, check them out. It might be something that you might be interested in. But again, that's goldenfight.org. So let me hide this real quick. Oops, wrong button. And I want this to be up there one more time. Let me show this. This is how you can follow Kevin. He's on Instagram, he's on Facebook, he's on Twitter. Look for his book to drop later on this year. It's going to be Apollo. He always has his hands in other indie creator projects. You can see him also on Tragedy. He's also doing the King Alma book, which is still in the works. Because as charitable as Kevin is, he only only has so many hours in the day that he can work on things. So that book will eventually come out. But it was an honor for me to tease where that that first page that's been inked, where that's at right now. So I know that it's going to be a hit, and he's doing his bit to help an autistic writer's dream come true. So that's so huge of him to do that. So again, like and follow him. I'm going to encourage you to go check these out now, or not really now. The show is almost over. You can go check them out because now I had your attention for this show, and it was my honor to have you, Kevin, on the show. The door is open. Love to have you come back and to be a part of whenever those new projects are ready to drop and go live. I'd just be happy to showcase those particular things. So have any final words or anything last thoughts before we
say thank you for having me on the show. It's been a great experience. I really appreciate it, and I'm definitely coming back when the book's ready to launch because I think you guys are some of the best out there doing what you're doing, and it's an honor to be here with you guys.
Oh, I appreciate that. So let's climb that indie ladder together and get eyes on both of our projects. For me, though, that's what Comics Cast is about. I want to make sure that talent like you gets the recognition and the eyes that they deserve. So this is Gerald and Kevin, my guest today. We're signing out. Another edition of Comics Cast Let It Out, and we'll see you next weekend. All right. See you later. Have a good Sunday.